Boston.
Yeah,
I
I'm
get
going with
Boston too,
Boston
man.
also.
Yeah, me too.
Oh man,
Boston.
that's a three people going for Boston. Okay, just to be devil advocate, I'm just gonna go with Golden State, but Boston. Okay, let's go by this. Why? Give me your reason why you think Boston is gonna win it.
You want me to go first, bang?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, this is my reason, right? I think they are more well balanced team. They get better defense. I feel like everybody in the team. Well, Golden State is the same way too. Like Boston more are selfish, but I just feel like they are more complete team. They're more balanced. I feel like the players they're more comfortable taking big shots at any given moment. I feel like every player pretty much understand their role, and they pretty much they are strong unit, man. They free, they're confident, and I just think I just lean more on Boston defense and their versatility that they could switch up on every. They could pretty much switch up on any matchup.
What you got, P?
So I
Tiga like
second.
that, Tiga like that right there. Tiga shaking it like, yeah.
That was perfect coaching.
So I think people don't give Boston enough credit, being that this is their first time in the finals. I think the way how basketball is played these days, I won't say basketball don't have pressure, but I think these guys that go through so much from eighth grade all the way up. I think it'll just mentally prepare them for any stages of where they play. Because a lot of these dudes don't hang out with each other. So I think that the pressure role, being that there's rookie finalists, I think that's playing too much in people's mind, as far as people think Golden State is veterans and stuff like that. And I think Boston show the maturity enough that game one. I ain't saying game two gonna go the same tonight, but
Yeah,
I,
that's
I
true.
think I think Boston is prepared. I think Golden State got some cockiness to them. Even after the last, it don't even sound like they they even thought that they were supposed to lose. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Boston earned that win.
you can feel the arrogance. It
Yes.
would go and
Yeah,
say.
that's true.
But
Yes.
That's
okay,
true.
so well said, man. Here's
That's
here's
true.
here's what I'm looking for in terms of watching the gameplay itself. If they leave the game a little physical, like how Boston was playing New Jersey, remember that first round series, how physical that game was. If this series is as physical as that, Boston is gonna beat Golden State easily. If the refs them start calling the game very close and touchy, you gotta watch out, because then you're gonna give the shooters more freedom to get off the shot. If you allow Boston now to play a little bit more physical, be a little bit more in your grill, bump you a little bit, that man will wear you down. And I think the series will favor Boston. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the physicality of every game, because you see Curry started out first quarter, he was 7 and 9. You just warm up, you fresh, everything going good, your shot going. But as soon as, like Mumbai, you said they can switch 1 to 5, them guys weren't giving him no 3 point space. He had to penetrate a lot. They were bumping it, knocking it. That thing will wear you down. And all of us as basketball players, we know that physical play will wear you down, not just your shot, but your legs as well.
Legs. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
I am looking to see how the game is being called. If the game is called a lot of touch foul, a lot of fouls early, because the ref is going to send a message how they want to dictate the game. So I'm watching that first quarter to see how they call. If it's physical, Golden State got to watch out. And I'm telling you, Tatum didn't even play well. So they got to really watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, big up to everybody, man. Good evening, good evening. Welcome, man. Episode 89, featuring Julie, Mistress Carter, Julie Carter. So definitely, man, this should be a good one. Hope everybody doing good. Brothers, man, how everything is, man?
Everything good, man. We're gonna get to it today. Everything good. Everything good.
Bless up, man. Good to see you guys again. It's been a while. We
Right?
must give a little shout out to all the coaches. Then we honored some coaches in the last weekend. Coach Haywood, obviously, he was honored. Coach Swanson, he was honored. Coach Fleming from St. Thomas, he was honored, along with Coach Gums also, and obviously Coach Donald Bob. So 5 coaches. I'm wearing a shirt. I'm sorry you guys can't see it. I might have to stand up to show you, but they got all the pictures of the coaches. It was well
Nice.
attended. The game was tight, down the wire, a little erratic play, but all the games them had some crazy finishes, 1 point finish, 1 point, 2 point finishes. So it was excited. We just need to clean up the game a little bit more in terms of having a better game on the eyes. It's too many turnovers and stuff like that. But the game was truly excited. And I want to show a lot of love to Charlotte and Mali. They were victorious. So big up to the Charlotte Chicken Hawks.
Big up, man. Big up the Chicken Hawks. Big up to all the coaches, definitely, man. That's amazing, So hopefully, more coaches could get honored in the future.
For sure.
Yeah, man.
So Tegan, who we came to see tonight? Who we came to interview tonight?
Well, P, you're gonna bring she in nicely. I mean, she's a lady national team member, so I given you the honors with this one, so I can relearn who she is. But I'm starting to remember she little by little. So go ahead, P, bring she in.
So for everybody who is on with us today, we are interviewing Julie Mistress Carter, like Mumba said. From my memory, she played the center position on the national team, and that's where Tegan and I met her. To me, she was more like a power forward. She had some of the strongest legs. She was tall. She had some of the strongest legs you could ever see on a female basketball player. And I'm not saying that in a I'm talking about like athletic wise. You know what I'm saying? She played with a lot of heart, courage. She embodied the national team and leading them into some big victories, and it was always a pleasure watching her play. So without further ado, and she hailed from St. Thomas out of the Virgin Islands, and without further ado, Julie Mistress Carter.
Hey everybody, thank you for having me.
Welcome.
That's a good intro. That's a good intro, Punk, because I see Tegan over there like starting to remember, but I don't, listen, it's okay. It's all right.
Oh, and I forget. She always, how we used to lace up our boots to play? She always used to lace up her ponytail to play. Her signature ponytail to play.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Hey, glad that you could be here.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So how are things? How are you doing?
So I would say I'm doing okay. I don't know if you guys was listening to the Live Wire interview, but there's a lot of things that have happened since you guys saw me last on the national team. I've gone off and I coached at Howard University for 2 seasons. I went ahead and also laced up my boots and said, hey, you know what, I'm going to go into corporate America. So currently right now, I don't do anything with basketball. I'm actually coaching for our county here in Virginia, my daughter's team, the 9/11 for volleyball. And also I'm doing 14 to 17-year-olds. And this is my first year doing that for the county. That's been interesting. I'll just say interesting. Outside of that too, I also have stage 4 breast cancer. I have had breast cancer now for going on 4 years. And since having breast cancer, I also gave birth to a set of boy-girl twins last year. So they are my miracle babies.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, they are.
Blessings.
I would say though, like being an athlete, coming from where I come from, sort of having to fight for a lot of the things that I do have, has kind of given me that grit, right? To not get to the place where, diagnosis happened. And then I was like, I just still had to keep going. And to that point, I actually still had, I still had little boys at the time. Like I had my son and he was, I think maybe 18 months when I found out I had cancer. And then my daughter, who is my bonus baby, she's my husband's daughter. I think she was 5 at the time. So we had little kids. So I didn't have any options to say, you know what, woe is me for too long. I've just been on it. So recently we found it spread to my brain. So that's been sort of like, that definitely hit me a little harder than I was expecting. But for the most part, I'm here. And every day above ground, man, y'all, is an opportunity. So I continue to try to be an inspiration to the people around me. And that's essentially my go-to on a daily basis is like, look, you can't die before you die.
Yeah,
that was well said. Beautiful.
Good point. And thank you for sharing that,
For sure.
Yeah. How
Sure,
has
right?
the
Just in case people, you know how us people is. Why she cut off all her hair?
Right.
Like, that was a good idea. Yeah, and just want to make sure we just stamp that right now. Just like in case
Yeah,
you were
right.
wondering, not by choice. I had pretty much hairstyle. Like I had gotten to the point I started growing locks. Right,
Mhm.
so treatment happened. The treatment kind of like made my hair fall out. I had to switch medicines, and then it grew back, and I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of looked normal for all intents and purposes. But with this new spread to my brain, I had to switch medicines again. And the hair's starting to kind of come back. So I
All
don't
right.
know. I might grow it back again, but only if it's ready to be grown back.
Well, we thank you to Facebook because being that you and I don't follow each other on Facebook, I get to see some of your journey when
Right.
even to the when you were growing locks and everything, and you always been transparent of your situation
For sure.
and sharing. So
For sure.
very you show a lot of perseverance. You never showed people that, and I'm pretty sure you had some down moments, but you never showed it on the internet, and you always try to uplift people about your own situation, and very very proud of you for that.
Thank you. No, I think it's really important that, even though you guys don't see a lot of down days, right? I mean, because I think even when I have a bad day and I come live or I get on the camera, it's still like, attitudes are contagious. So if I came on and I was like, oh my God, today I wasn't feeling too well, and you'd be like, who wants to watch this? Like this
Yeah,
isn't
that's true.
healthy, right? This makes me want to slit my wrist. So other than that, I try not to have too many of those moments. But I always tell people, like, I know I make it look easy, but it is hard. Like this new medicine actually has made me the most sick that I've been in the 4-year journey. And I can do a lot of things, y'all, but throwing up is not one of those things I can do. Like I hate
Wow.
throwing up.
that's tough.
So,
Yeah.
but this medicine does have me feeling that way. Luckily, it's only like maybe the first week after, but it's still a thing. Still a thing.
Well, we are so glad that you're here to share your story today.
Thank you.
I do remember you when you were in your playing days for the national team. I never met you before the national team, so
Facts.
that's where we're gonna start. You're gonna share us your story and how it all got started, whether it's basketball, volleyball. How was your upbringing?
So, single mom, right? My mom is actually originally from St. Martin, and I never knew my dad. I don't know who he is. If you guys think I look like anybody from the VIU, let me know because I've been searching for that mofo. Can I curse on here? I have a little bit of a podcast. But I don't know my dad. My mom is pretty much raised my brother and I. Rest in peace. My brother died last year in July at
Yeah,
the
rest
tender
in
age of
peace.
39.
Condolences.
Yeah.
Thank
Condolences.
you. Of diabetes, people. So if you're diabetic, take care of yourself. He was 39 years old. Didn't make it to his 40th birthday. Survived by 2 children, a bonus son and a daughter who is now 15. She might be 16 now. With that being said, it was hard. Like my mom didn't really like growing up. I didn't know that I didn't really have a whole lot, but I really didn't have a whole lot. I grew up in Savon, and then I moved to the West, Duncoin. Went to high school. I say high school for all you devil rays in that building. I went to high school.
Oh,
Only high school. But other than that, I mean, really and truly, like it was I don't think it was hard. It wasn't until you like retrospectively look back. I'm like, damn, I really had nothing. Like I really didn't like grow up with any means, really, right? I remember we had to like do a lot of fundraising to like raise money, and really and truly, my athletic journey started with Gabby Gums on the elementary team. I went to Janie Tuitt, so Coach Gums was like the first person to like put any type of ball in my hand,
yeah.
and it kind of gravitated then into volleyball. And that came with Mr. Biden. And then I kind of branched off of volleyball for a long time because I didn't want to be running up and down the floor. I was lazy. I was a big lazy girl. So I didn't want to be running up and down the floor. And I prefer being in tights because back in the day, I was starting to kind of grow a little bit, starting to like boys and things. So I wanted to be in tights versus being in like baggy shorts. And then, I went over to Berkshire Academy in Florida, boarding school one season, and I came back. And then my last year, I pretty much played basketball and volleyball, and the national team from there all kind of came into place, and basketball kind of took over because that's what I got my scholarship to do. I played basketball first and for 4 years, and then after that I played 1 year volleyball. So other than that, like it's been a crazy journey, but I always say basketball opens so many doors for me. And my husband likes to say, like, cause he is a true basketball mind. He likes to call me a fake athlete because even though I played professionally, played in college, basketball is not really a thing that I sit and I watch. I could do it in person. I heard you guys talking about the Celtics and the Warriors, and I'm like, maybe I'll watch that game tonight. But but I don't really, sports isn't really a thing that I stay sort of like up to date with. Like it has to be like a special time, like in the finals, like now, and it wouldn't be like the first 3 games. I'd be like, okay, so we down to the wire now. Who's playing for real tonight?
Right.
And that's probably a game I'd watch. And then, kind of like the last game, Game 7 with Miami and Celtics, I was like, I can't believe I tuned in for this. This is ridiculous. It was really bad because my husband's a Miami fan. He's from Florida. And I was just like, dude, you making me sit here and watch this with you? This is awful. They look like they went out partying last night, and literally they came on the court and they thought they were going to be able to do some things, and Celtics were playing like they were on their home court.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah. Only Jimmy Butler came to play.
Only Jimmy Butler.
I was like, who's that guy? He is killing it. Well, you guys were saying too that they went into Game 1 and Celtics won, right?
Yeah.
So if they keep playing the way they played those 2 games, and somebody doesn't, just kind of like stop them in their tracks, they're going to be hard to beat because I think for them, they're on a high now. They're feeling it. You know what I mean? It's
That's
physical.
True.
They come to play. All the ball, like all their shots were falling. I was like, damn. I don't know. I like you, Curry, but I don't know.
I kept saying, I was in a group text. I kept saying if Celtics could just keep it close going through the game, they're gonna win it in the end. Because
I believe it.
Steph Curry can't hit like that the entire game, and every run they made, Celtics withstand it and came right back.
Right.
That's true, yeah.
Facts.
That's what's up, man.
That's true.
So, growing up, who was your competition? Like, who did you play against? Who do you remember playing against and giving you a hard time, and you used to give the business to?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if this is like, so a lot of times when I'm having like these brain parts, I don't know if it's chemo. I don't know if it's brain radiation. But I don't really remember, and that's not to be like overly cocky either, because I want to make sure people know, like, I was a Sasquatch. I was a okay athlete, and then I was a pretty decent athlete, and then I was a professional athlete, right? So I went through every tier. So don't think that I just picked up a ball and I was good. I actually sucked before I got there. But I don't remember an individual outside of the team that I played on, right? So the Miriams of the world for volleyball, the Janelle Sorrows of the world, the Jamila Otleys, the Latifa Smiths, and then that's volleyball. I don't remember anybody I was like, hey, you know what? On that other team, we got to worry about it, to be honest. And then for basketball, maybe Liebird, maybe Liebird, because she didn't go to high school. She actually went to Kent, but other than that, like, I don't really remember anybody that was like, okay, we got to strap up, got to worry about this particular. Like high school, like we stepped on the court, we were just winning.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question really quickly before I forget. Coach Gabby was just honored past weekend. What kind of influence he had on you, and talk a little bit about him, because we don't really know him as a coach like that. We know him, but you have more
oh my gosh,
closer.
Yeah. So
stories.
Coach Gums. Oh my God. So for me, it was more like, so first of all, he was my PE teacher, right? And PD basketball was essentially what he introduced to me. And this was back in the day when I could actually dunk. I'm just saying. I think for him, like, he was always really mellow. I don't think I remember Coach Gums being a coach who was like really like, hey, hello, what you doing? Like, he wasn't one of those loud coaches, right? So it's different because Corbett was like that. Rest in peace, Corbett. Like, Corbett was a yellow. So if I think about the both of them, I would say for him, it was more like him understanding that, we are little people and we still need to like have fun. So I definitely got the like having fun. That's when basketball was the most funnest for me, to be honest, right? It was when I was playing BD basketball with Gums. He wasn't really like, he was a motivator. For me, he was a motivator. And he's still the damn same. Y'all, think about it. He was my coach in
He's still
elementary
coaching
school,
today.
and he still looks the same. It's just, the man is aging backwards. But all in all, I would definitely say he was definitely a motivator. He wasn't really a yeller. I don't remember him being too much a yeller.
Big up to you, Coach Gums, man. Big up.
Yeah, for sure.
Big up, Coach
Gabby
Gums.
Gums.
You mentioned you played college basketball. What college you attended?
I went to George Mason University.
That's
Yeah,
a
in
nice
Fairfax,
school.
Virginia.
How was that
good school.
recruitment? How you got there?
So Corbett used to take us off island to compete with schools here. I think we were at like Dunbar here in DC. And I say here in DC. So I live in Virginia, so I'm in the tri-state area. So DC, Maryland, Virginia are really close to each other. So back in the day, he would take us to have these like off-island competitions. And just so happened, Coach Howard from George Mason had saw me. I probably had the best game of my life, yo, because like I remember I was telling you I was good, kind of okay. So they came and they saw me when I was having a better game, and they were impressed. And they asked me to come out on a visit. Now, mind you, I didn't know what I didn't know now. It was only one visit. I went on one visit. If I knew, I'd have gone on all of them. But I went on one, and the vibe that I got from Coach Tannehill, who was the head coach, the little white lady. I mean, Coach Tannehill probably like all of 5'7", maybe all. I'm probably giving her a little bit of height. It was just a good vibe. Coach Nixon at the time too. Tisha was there. Tisha Nixon, Marcel Harrison was there. Coach Howard, and then we had Coach Tannehill as the head coach. That vibe, it just felt like home, man. It really, and it was weird because I remember when I was telling people at home, right, in St. Thomas, that I was going to, consider going to Fairfax, Virginia. I ain't gonna lie. Somebody said to me, I'm not gonna call it out, but somebody said to me, they lynching niggas in Virginia? And I was like, wait, what? Yeah, seriously, they said that to me.
Wow.
And I was just like, wait, what?
Crazy.
So go to school, and then it was different. Y'all, let me tell you, because all the things that I had known to that point, because we progressed a lot since since I went off to school in 2001, but people being homosexual, me being the majority, like things I had to like truly, like it was a culture shock. Like it truly was a culture shock. I didn't really have anybody that was from my culture, right? I remember the first time I got there and people were like, are you Black, African American? And I was like, where's the slut for Caribbean American, right? Like I was like, where's that box? Because I'm Caribbean American, I'm not African American, right? I never been to Africa. So like all those things you had to like figure out. And then I was now the minority. Like I didn't back in the day in 2001, George Mason was a predominantly white school. It probably still predominantly right now, but you didn't see, like I was like a handful of Black kids. I was a handful. When I say a handful, I mean, besides the basketball teams, right? If you went outside of athletes, there was only like a handful of like African-American people you would see in class with you. So that was in itself another culture shock for me. I didn't have a car, I didn't drive. It was like, it wasn't hard, but it was different because, I couldn't do a whole lot. I remember I wanted to, study law. And this was back in the day when NCAA allowed your coaches to kind of really tell you what they wanted you to do.
Wow.
So the law campus, right, was in Arlington. And I remember my coach Tanya, I love you very much, but she was like, you can't do law. How you gonna do 3 law? And we got practice. That's sweet, 12 and 3. How you gonna get there? And then I also wanted to do volleyball at the same time because the volleyball team, they were like, oh, if you play, we'll like you because you're a pretty decent player. And Coach Tannehill put a stop to that right quick. She said, listen, ain't no volleyball. Ain't no free ball. So that
you came in a basketball scholarship.
Yeah,
you go play
she really
basketball.
was like, and by that time too, we had a kid, McBride, who was already doing it. And they remember what that was like because she had to miss some games. I think her name was Chelsea McBride. Like she was already missing games. So they were like, yeah, we ain't doing that again.
Right.
if I had to do it all over again, guys, I think I would have redshirted coming in, just so I could have that extra year. Because I think by my senior year, I was really just starting to get into a groove. But my first, people always ask me, like, how'd you do your freshman year? I was like, y'all, I was like the 10th play on the bench.
That was gonna be one of my questions. I'm so happy you touched it. You know, like what was your first year like? And
first year, listen, they don't tell you, right? Because again, when I tell you for volleyball, basketball, in high school, you step on the court, you play. Like I knew I was starting. That wasn't the case when I went off to college. I remember the first practice, because I was a volleyball player. Really, they were turning into a basketball player. They were like, Flanders, what you wearing? I had on spandex. I had the Air Force Ones, because you remember Air Force Ones was big back in the day. I had some Air Force Ones, some spandex, and a T-shirt, and I was ready to hoop. My coach was like, what the hell is she wearing? Y'all, somebody go get Flanders some gear. And she used to do this thing, because like in the games, I would have like my pants all the way up here with my shirt like tucked in.
Mm-hmm.
And she'd be like, Flanders, pull your shorts down. Like, what? And she'd always call me, and I knew I was in trouble when she would say, Julie Flanders. But besides that, I was Flanders. That was my nickname for my coach. And if she was really annoyed, she'd be like, Julie. But other than that, it was a really great experience. I had a lot of growing up to do, because I thought, after being, on a national team, just being a good player for all intents and purposes from, a St. Thomas level, going and not starting, oh my God, y'all, that was hard, man. Or going in and being only in there for 2 minutes. I'd be like, I ain't no game time. And there's a lot of ego that you come with from the Virgin Islands from time to time too, right? Like you're like, oh, 2 minutes, whatever. When she called me in that game, I'd be like, okay, what you want me to coach? It's the game time. Yeah. But if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have redshirted my first year just to kind of get that under my belt and then kind of play through. I was lucky all of my playing career in college, actually my overseas career, I never was injured. I broke a finger, I broke a toe, but I never was out of commission. I even, it's weird when I think back, my 14 was the first time I had, a removal of anything out of this left breast. This breast has tried to kill me. And then I was 19, so I was in college when I actually had to take out another fibroid, and it was benign at the time. But I remember having to like cut a foam because I didn't really want to miss any games, and they didn't want me to miss any games either. And the question they asked was like, could she play with this injury, right? Which was, just me removing the fibroid. They were like, yeah, give her a week, and then just make sure you have padding in between. So my uniform from my 11th, but my junior and senior year, every time in my sports bra, I wore 2 sports bras, and I would take and I cut out this piece of foam, and that was my thing. And they would say, Julie, got your pad? So that I always had to make sure that was part of my uniform. So this has been, I've been on this journey for quite some time if I really think about it. But it was quite the experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was humbling too in many aspects. I still obviously am here in Virginia, so I made it home after all the years. My second home, right? My second home. Home's where my mom is. My mom's actually here helping with the baby. She's been here for some time. Thank God for retirement. She's here taking care of everybody.
Question, and I could have heard wrong. So you played on the national team before you went to college?
No, I didn't. That timeline's right. But I did play. I think I played on the national team for volleyball though before I went to college.
Gotcha.
That's when I played for the national team. So I was a 2-sport national teamer. So before I went to college, it was volleyball, and then after I went to college, it was basketball. Yeah.
Do you still keep up with the ladies' national team, basketball-wise?
So depends. It depends on what you call keeping up, right? So Jam. So again, I'm closer to the folks on volleyball than I am closer to the folks in basketball. I think that's just by design, right? Because a lot of the girls for volleyball I went to school with, right? So the Mariams, the Kamarsha Ryans of the world, Jamila Otleys of the world, those girls, I definitely still talk to. Actually, I see Kamarsha pretty frequently from time to time. But that's volleyball. On Facebook, I follow Langalo, right? You guys remember Langalo? Y'all
Yeah,
fuckers,
yeah.
you know who
Yeah,
Langalo is. Yeah, so Langalo. And then other than that, not really a whole lot of the girls that I follow them, but I'm not really
Yeah.
like close like that. We don't have
No,
like one-off conversations.
I only mentioned them because they're doing very well.
Yes.
They at a good state right now. They beat Puerto Rico.
Oh,
They
nice.
played number 9 Brazil down to the wire, losing by
What?
1. So yeah, they're
That's
doing
awesome.
very well
That is
international
awesome.
wise.
Who's coaching on the national team now?
Who is their coach? That's a
Is
great
that
question.
Coach Taj? Is she still involved?
Taj.
Hi,
And she's coaching Georgetown, right?
Yes,
Taj is at
no,
Georgetown. Yeah.
yeah, she's at Georgetown now. Let me tell you guys, my first year on the national team, Coach Taj. I don't know if you guys remember, but Coach Taj was there, and I remember she had us running every morning. And I was like, what is wrong with this lady? She going hard. I'm telling you. And then I remember that, I think that year we got bronze or silver, but also too, she got a concussion and come to find out she was pregnant. I don't know if y'all remember, like all that transpired, but her first, actually, she was pregnant with that after she had that concussion in the gym. But we were down at UBI. But Coach Todd, she's what's up. And she was at George Mason too, coaching a little bit. I got to see her from time to time. She's now at Georgetown, which she's actually at Georgetown with Coach Howard, who was the coach that recruited me to George Mason. I did promise Coach Geckler, Coach G, who I coached at Howard University. She was the head coach when I was coaching there. I did promise I was come out to some games this season, so I'll let you guys know how that goes. Listen, life just gets so busy, and you kind of like life takes over, right? So I have 4 children. Why I have 4 children? But I have 4, and I'm happy for my 4. They are my blessings, but they do keep you super busy. My son is playing football. My daughter, she's playing volleyball. He also swims. My 5-year-old is pretty precocious, so he's actually starting school early. He's going to be in first grade next in the fall. So, and then the babies are in school. So it's a lot. So I'm not trying to make excuses, but I'm going to try to get out to some games this year to support Coach Taj, because she is the epitome of BI too. She's awesome.
And in support of you rocking your for your journey, I decided to rock the ball head too. So
thank you, Pan.
you're welcome.
All right,
That's
right.
big. That's big, BD. You balance out the screen. No, you balance out the screen. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me ask you, because everybody want to know. Cisco and Ebro want to know. So why you cut off your hair?
Me? Oh, I definitely was going ball, and it was time. I didn't want to. I was holding on to it as long as I could.
Yeah.
And then one day I just something, boom. But Teague and them could never. I don't think Teague and them would ever remember this. But one time I tried to cut my own hair, and I didn't do a good job, so I had to ball it. So it was for a week or 2 I rock a ball head in school. But I don't know if Teague and them will ever remember that day. You never seen with a ball head in high school. No, okay, good.
You got a good head, Dupang. It's a good head.
Oh, thank you.
A good
head. I guess only when you go bald you notice it, because I didn't even notice you take off your hat, Pete. I thought you always like that.
What? Oh gosh, my Tiga.
I wasn't studying all of that. I was so into your message, Julie. I was just so much of your story resembled mine, especially since you were talking about college.
Oh, awesome.
I mean, I was kind of deja vu in knowing the fact that we left the Virgin Islands and we had this ego thinking we were the nicest thing, Pete. And I won't play a minute, my son. What? But like you said, you wanted the red shirt. Luckily for me, I had to red shirt because I broke my foot.
Okay, gotcha.
And I was able to learn the game just watching. And after that first year, I started the next 4 years. So that red shirt year definitely helped.
It helped.
So
right?
it was just crazy, just reminiscent of your story.
It's good. It's really interesting you say that too, because I feel like, one of the things so I would always say a good coach teaches you the game of basketball, right? Or whatever sport you're playing. And I would say that I got a lot of that in volleyball, but it's only because Mr. Blyden had like, he had his claws in me a little bit longer than a lot of folks, right? So Gabby had me for the BD basketball time, and that was fun. And then Corbett had me, but then he kind of had me on and off. It wasn't really like, listen, Corbett turned out to be one of my favorite coaches, right, for basketball. But he wasn't always my favorite coach, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Yeah, rest in peace. Because like he was a yeller, man. I don't think y'all understand the things that would come out this man's mouth. Right? But hindsight's 2020 because he always saw your potential. You know what I mean? He always saw the potential that you had. So I was thankful because then when I got to a coach like Coach Daniel, who wasn't a yeller, right? She didn't need to do a whole lot to motivate me because I was coming from, this crazy person who was always yelling to this person who wasn't always yelling. So she never do a lot. She was like, look, what I say, if she raised her voice, I was like, okay, now I'm real to do, right? But, I think having Coach Corbett, even Bruley, oh my God, I can't be forgetting Bruley. I can't even forget CV in places. And CV, y'all know CV, right?
Yes.
I always say, I never see this man smiling in his life. I just say me never see CV smiling in his life.
Never see me smiling.
Me never see the man smile. Man always gets same tone and he stays all the time, right? But with guys like that, I think everybody gave me a little piece of something. I think the one thing I was missing was being able to watch the sport. You know what I mean? If I had watched basketball, but I had no cable. You can afford cable. That's why I said you look back, be like, damn, no, I don't remember watching French Prince of Bel-Air. I didn't see that. I had no cable. So, but long story short, like I feel like, a good coach definitely puts you in a position to learn the core fundamentals of the game. They don't just put you out there and be like, run. And I think all of the basketball greats that kind of walked me through this sport or was on this journey with me in, immediate or behind, I thank them for that, right? I definitely thank them for that. And that's what I try to give to my players, right? When I got to Howard University as the assistant coach, I tried to tell them like, look, first of all, I'm never going to ask you to do something I can't do myself, right? That's always the good about being able to hoop still. I was like, I'm never going to ask you to do anything that I can't do myself, number one. And then number two, I'm not asking you to do this just because it looks good. I'm asking you to do this because this is the basics that you need to. Then you can be flashy at the end, right? And I was never a flashy player. I literally was. I don't want to equivalent myself to Tim Duncan because I'm not that, or even Aaliyah Boston because I am not. I was never that either. But fundamentally, I was sound. I wasn't like trying to like give behind the backs. no look passes. I'll give you basics to get the job done. And I grabbed the hell out of rebounds. That's what I did. A lot about basketball is you got to figure out like what your niche is and be okay in that niche, right? You ain't got to be the top scorer all the time, right? Sometimes it's being the top rebounder is what gets you through. You know what I mean? So if I can give anybody, any young athletes, anything, it'd be that. You ain't always got to be the best man on the court. Ain't always the best scorer or the most scorer. Because when I look at Mason, we have this mural from when we went to the NIT, the WNIT, and I'm up there. And it's funny because if I think back on my career, I never thought that I was as good and as worthy as being on this mural, if that makes sense.
Wow.
So that's always humbling too.
That's what's up. You mentioned that you were crazy on the court because it's funny that you said that because that was going to be my next question. You always had this tenacity about you on the court, and like, where did that come from? From your mom, from the coaches? Like, how did you instill that?
So I would say my mom, man. Look, I'd say my mom. I'd say my coaches. I'd say it's a little bit of combination of both, right? Because athletically, my mom came to ride a bike. I never see her play a sport. But she's a strong Black woman. You know what I mean? She is a strong Black woman. And then also, too, secretly, I really thought I was, secretly, I always wanted to be like 5'7". I thought I was a small person, and I'm not. So I remember in my college days, like I'd go for steals. Like I had some steals on the books, right? And so you think about a 6'3", girl, like that's not, you ain't really getting a whole bunch of steals like that. But from time to time, I got some steals. So I just wanted to be. It's funny because I'm reading these comments. Maybe I need to. Y'all read the comments. I'm gonna stop reading the comments. They distracted me. Y'all, I got 80 minutes. But no, the tenacity comes from my mom. I would definitely say it comes from my mom, a combination of my coaches. But really and truly, like I'm competitive, man. Like I just don't listen. My daughter, she'll tell you, no matter what we're playing, I don't ease up on my kids. I'm like, look, because it's gonna be sweeter when you beat me. It's gonna be sweeter when you beat me. When we out there running, I be racing them sometimes up and down. And they'll like my son, he's 5, so he's like, I ain't wanna do that no more. I was like, listen, first of all, Carters don't do that. Ain't no crying in this, right? Number one. And I said, you can't just expect to show up and then you're gonna be good. You gotta work at it. I said, mom ain't get, because then I'll raise their dad and then, he'll smoke me. So I have to tell him, let's just have to give him in context. But I don't lay out my kids either because I want them to be just as competitive, right? Because one thing I always say to them is like, look, if you can deal with your mom who loves you, because I'm a yeller, right? Rest in peace, Corbett, but I'm a yeller too. So I always tell them, I said, you'll be able to take on this world because life is going to ebb and flow. You can have some high times and you have some real low times. But in the low times, if you don't find yourself, you could actually end yourself. So I don't want that to be anybody's story in this house. So I need you guys to understand that life ebbs and flows and you're going to go with the flow. And at the end, you're going to come out victorious, right? 4 years into breast cancer, and I'm still here with y'all. Still looking like not my journey, right? I always say that, looking like not my journey, right? And it's been a journey, y'all, right? So with that being said, I'm like, look, ain't nothing but that tenacity, right? So I'm gonna hold on to that. And thank God for athleticism and athletics, because that gave me a competitive spirit, right? Like my passion right now is living to see my kids make it to be ready to take on this world. You see what I'm saying? So, and I'm like, that's a good 25 years. At 25 years, my twins will be 26. My son will be 30. My daughter, she'll be, my math, 36, right? So if I do that and I can hold off just as long, 25, listen, I might get to 25 and after 25 more, but I'm just saying, let me get to 25. Then they're old enough to not, to miss me, but not let it break them. You know what I mean? But you hear people, kids lose their parents when they're young all the time. And I don't want that for my kids. So that tenacity, y'all, I hold on to that. That keeps me going.
That's strength.
Really does.
Yeah, that's strength. It's true. We got 2 viewer questions here. One from Langalo. I don't know if you saw it yet.
Yeah, so was it a specific reason you stopped coaching or you found what purpose was and it took off from that? So I would say, so if I'm being completely honest, so right out of, if we do the timeline, 2005, I graduated, I did a 5th year of volleyball, and then I realized that scholarship I was eating up could actually be worth for somebody else who needed it, right? Because think about it, like I'd already done 4 years playing basketball on scholarship, and now they were giving me a scholarship to do a 5th year. And then I didn't even get into the master's program because it was so late, all this stuff started turning around. So I was like, hi, you know what? Let me pause for a second. And I'll just do some major because I wanted to play college volleyball, right? So after the season was done, I was like, you know what? If there's a whole nother season, a whole nother like semester that you can give this to somebody who needs it, let me do that. And I'll go overseas and play ball. So I went overseas because by then I got in this agent. I can't remember what my first agent's name was, but I got in this agent and they got me to Finland. So from that season is what I finished out in Finland. And then that volleyball scholarship, that second half of it, they could give it to somebody else. So that was good. I went over to Finland. First of all, freezing. Let me tell y'all, cold.
Yes, Finland
and the
is
sun
cold.
is only up for like 3 hours a day in the wintertime. So, and I'm an island child, just like the rest of you. So we love sun. So in order for me to deal with like the sun not being up a lot, I had to like put on this light bulb. I had to get 100 watt for the house so it would make me feel like I was in the sun. But anyway, I digress. Langalo, back to your question. So after that, I played in Spain and then I went back to Finland. And then I was like, man, they want scorers to come in here. I'm not a scorer. I ain't even try to pretend to be a player. I'm not. Let me just go let me go to grad school. And just when I was going to grad school, Coach Howard was like, ooh, the Mystics have tryout in Woodbridge. You should try out. And I was like, Coach Howard, I'm ready. It's like, Julie, just one more time. And I was like, okay, fine. And I made it to training camp, y'all. I thought I was hot shit. And I got out there players. I can't even remember who was on the Mystics at that time, but goddamn it, it was a beating. And I was at that time too. I was working, so I would work from like 8. I would go to camp from 8 to 12, and then I would work from 12 to 8, and then do that shit all over again, y'all. And just then, I had gotten accepted into grad school. So I was like, man, grad school or the Mystics, because they didn't cut me. First cuts went, and I was still good. I was still trucking. But they weren't paying. Number one, I wasn't being paid. And I was like, man, do I really want to do this? So I had a decision to make. I was like, look, y'all taking too long to decide. So I didn't even wait to get cut. I actually quit. I was like, guys, look, I got accepted into grad school. I'm working after this. Like, it's a lot. It's taking a toll on my body. I need to make a decision, so I'm going to go to school, right? Like, if I think about what's going to take me longer term, because then at that time too, I think they were telling me like the salary would be like $30,000 for the year.
It was very low, very low.
And I wasn't, and that's for the starting player, like that's for the starters.
It's still low today. They need to start paying these ladies.
Facts. Sounds like I ain't gonna do that. And just so happened when I start grad school, Coach Howard was just moving to Howard University as the assistant coach with Coach G, and he was like, oh, we don't have a position. And I was like, wait, what? So every time I'm trying to get away from basketball, it keeps finding me, right? So I was like, okay. And then it was actually my first salary position too. And I can tell you what it is because that's not what I make now. But I was making $30,000 a year, actually 35. And I was like, okay. You know, I feel like pop stuff. And I loved coaching. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I really loved coaching. I love taking these minds. And I recognize, too, that I am built for older kids, not younger kids. I'll tell you about the 9, 11-year-olds for volleyball right shortly after. But 14 to 17, good and up, right? And up. We had a good run. But then one day I sat down, getting to your question, and I did the math on the hours worked as an assistant coach at a Division I MEAC school and what I was making. And I think it came up to like 50 cents an hour.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, no, we can't do this long term. This ain't gonna work. And at that point too, I had mortgage, but it was a small mortgage. I didn't, it wasn't anything crazy, but still I had a mortgage at the time too. So I was like, so I did that for 2 seasons, and just so happened, like, I always, build real good networks around me. So there was one of my volleyball friends was like, hey, there's a position at HP, do HP, corporate. And, it was a great big bump. I doubled my salary, right? So I was like, okay, let me find out making some money here at our team. So then that's what got me out of coaching. And then I kind of hung up my shoes for a long time until recently opened them back up for I was still playing like rec ball, right? I would still play rec men's league here. So I would play with the guys here in Virginia. And then I would also do volleyball all the time. Volleyball is my passion. So I love volleyball, but I wasn't coaching. But now, because my daughter was like, Mom, I want you to coach me. And I was like, you sure? Okay. So my 9/11 group is the group that she's in. And 9/11-year-olds, y'all, one thing I found out is all 11-year-olds don't listen. So yes, Longalo. So that was answering your question. So there's another question here. It says, as a coach, what's the one message that you want your athletes to take away into their next journey in life? It'll be the same journey that I give to my kids, right? Life is going to ebb and flow, and you're gonna have to move with the waves, right? You don't quit, right? That's one thing I don't teach our kids to do, quit. And a true story as live as they come is my 9/11 team. We have not won one game all season. We are 13th in the league going into playoffs on Monday. So tomorrow starts playoffs, and we are 13th. Yep, HP, the electric company, or the computer company for all intents and purposes. So I would tell them all the time, like, we don't quit, right? We don't quit. It's not really about the wins and losses, right? Because you're going to get wins and losses. But if you're doing everything you're supposed to, you're going to have more wins than you have losses, right? But you can't go through life thinking that you're not going to have any losses. If I think about if I think about cancer, I always tie everything back to cancer, right? If I think about cancer, I could think about cancer as my biggest L, but it's not, right? I mean, it isn't, because I am still here. I am on a journey of inspiration for all those folks that think, I get a cancer diagnosis, woe is me, death is tomorrow. It's not. It is not. I was diagnosed as stage 4, y'all. I want you guys to understand, stage 4 has no cure. It is essentially like there's nothing I can do that will ever rid me of the cancer that I have at this particular time, because it is stage 4. There's no cure for stage 4, metastatic stage 4 breast cancer. There isn't. So I could count that as my biggest L, but it is not, right? Because I'm still here inspiring somebody to get up off their ass and still live, right? People ask me all the time, like, oh, what do you want to do? Well, shit, really and truly, if you ask me, I'd like to do nothing. If I could get up one day, not have to be a mom, not have to be a wife, and just sit here literally and kick up my feet, y'all, that would be the best day.
Amazing.
I say that jokingly, but because I got diagnosed with cancer, y'all, and life has not stopped. My kids still need me. My husband still need me. My mom, my mom just buried my chemo brain. My brother last year, and I was only 2 children she had. I say to myself, like, damn, I'll be damned if she has to bury me too. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and I don't think my mom always recognizes too, like, how serious the situation is, because what she sees. But I'm just saying, like, I could count this as my biggest L, but it isn't, because I'm still here, still trucking along, still being able to inspire my kids. One time I had said out loud to my children, we were in the kitchen somewhere, because they be driving me crazy, y'all. 4 kids, trust me.
Yeah.
I said,
These days,
I quit. I said, Mom doesn't want to be a mom no more. I'm done. That's what I said. And I lied to you not. It's almost like they had practiced it. They said, Carters don't quit. I was like, what the hell they get this from?
yeah, you listen.
That's what they see every day. You know what I mean? They know I have cancer, but I don't think they understand the magnitude of cancer based on what they see coming from me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. So I got to count my blessings and, count my support, because my husband, my friends, right? They come in droves, y'all. They come in droves.
I was just getting ready to ask you that. I had a 2-question thing to ask you. I was going to ask you, how is your support system, and do you have any foundation that you started or a part of that you would like to share that we could get donations or things sent to it, or
So let me be completely honest. When I was first diagnosed, I really didn't want to be the poster child, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain that. There's a sense of like privacy that you want to have, because when I tell people, right? So if we just came on here, we're just talking, and I didn't say anything about my bald head or anything, you just be like, oh, that girl, she is some style, right? But the first time I say to somebody, when they ask, because they always ask, people always ask, so do you mind, like, so true story, yesterday, casino. I happened to go to the casino. Not that I be gambling all the time, y'all, but I played blackjack. In Maryland, and I was sitting there being my same self, and this lady sitting next to me, her name is Miss Denise. She says to me, so is there a reason why the bald head? And I said, yeah, I have stage 4 breast cancer. And I'd be saying it like so matter-of-factly, but I'd be catching people off guard. They'd be like, damn. And their face go from, hey, to, and I'm just like, and I hate that look. Y'all, let me tell you, if there's any look that I hate more, it's that look. Because I didn't tell you so you can feel sorry for me, because I don't feel sorry for myself.
Right.
I tell you, so just in case you think you got some shit going on, this is perspective. Because perspective is everything, right? So.
But you have a beautiful bald head. I don't know what you should tell them. Mind the business.
And I'll tell you guys another story about kids, because I do the worst with kids when they ask about my bald head. But I didn't start a foundation. I'm still looking into like figuring out what I want to be when I grow up, right? Because right now I'm actually on leave from work, because this meds to my brain scared the shit out of me, if I'm being completely honest. Because 2 things, your brain and your heart. right? Your brain and your heart, you need those two. So,
Right.
it spread from my breast to my liver initially, and then we got through that. Then deciding to have babies, incubate them. My cancer was like, "Ooh, she on brain," and then it said, "Ooh, let me climb up in that spine." So it's in my spine now. And then since having babies, fast forward a year now, it is now also in my sternum. Sternum, I got, because I don't know if you guys know, because he be saying, my doctor say some things, I'll be like, your sternum is where? I studied rocks in college. I studied rocks in college, okay? I'm gonna need you to tell me where my sternum is. So in between here, in between the breastbone, and then it metastasized my brain. So I was like, yeah, that brain scared me. We found out April 23rd. And I was like, and if I'm being completely honest with you guys too, I've been really super depressed the last 6 to 7 weeks since hearing that, because it's like, my brain. And I did brain radiation too. So that was, I just didn't know, like, I'm still in a place where I'm trying to figure out what this new line of therapy looks like. And like I told you guys, it does make me the sickest I've been in 4 years. Because I've had a great journey so far. And I say great in that cancer was responsive. I was to the point where they couldn't see it on the scans. I've had babies, right? And I don't know if you guys saw, Pang, I ain't trying to put you on the spot. I don't want your wife to get you, I don't want to get you in trouble with your wife. But y'all saw those pictures in the nude when I had the babies? Because I posted them on Facebook.
No, I didn't see
I
that.
haven't seen them.
Specifically because this body, this cancer, and that message was, this cancerous body is giving birth to beautiful babies. And it did, right? So regardless of what you think, like I said, I could say it's my loss, but it's not. It's a win for me.
Actually, I did see those pictures now that I'm thinking about it, because it started some conversation on your page. And
Hello.
yeah,
Right?
I remember saying that.
It was like, what kind of thing is this?
Yeah,
I was like, because you
I
ain't
do
know the
remember
story.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you don't know the story. The story is, this cancerous body is giving life. And life, guys, regardless of whatever you're saying, for those of you who can adopt, who can have kids on your own, our legacy is our kids. Say whatever you want, right? It's your kids. It's what you leave behind for this world. It's the people that you touch. So for me, I want to touch as many lives in a positive light, and I want my kids to be a beacon of positivity for the next generation, right? So anyway, that's a long-winded way of answering your question. Hopefully I got to it.
No,
I
no.
have a great support.
So let me jump in real quick, Punk, if you
Go
don't
ahead.
mind. Julie, you touched on hearing the news with the stage 4. Have you and your mom had private conversations, like heart-to-heart conversations, due to the situation or anything like that? Or you guys kind of shy away from those type of moments?
So if I'm being completely honest, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna watch this later, but but I try to shy away from truly intimate conversations with my mom, because like I said, all I do is, like, my mom knows me as being this 18-year-old. She left to go off to conquer the world, and for all intents and purposes, I've made her really proud, right? And what she sees is a strong Black woman. Like, my mommy doesn't really see me break down and cry. She doesn't really see me break down and have emotional moments. I do verbalize, right? And I'll say I'm tired. I'll say I'm frustrated, but she'll never really truly see the magnitude of frustration. I think she probably sees me more frustrated with my kids, trying to get them to understand these lessons. Because I think sometimes it's a little amplified for me with them. And I don't know if they realize where it's coming from, but for me, I want to give them as much as I possibly can while I'm here, because I'm not promised 25 years, right? Increments of 5 is really what stage 4 is about, right? So I'm on year 4, right? And if we think about it, progression of disease is getting a little bit more aggressive. So I got to think in increments of 5, right? So with that being said, I'm always trying to give my kids as much as I possibly can, as much as I possibly can. So when they don't get it, I get a little frustrated, especially with my 11-year-old, because she's a girl. I'm like, look, this world is not built for women. Number one, and it's not built for women because it's a male and dominated world. Unfortunately, I realize that I'm the only female here, but it just is what it is. If I'm being completely honest with her, you say you're going to always have to work as twice as hard as the next person, as the next Black man, as the next white man. So in this hierarchy, white man, Black man, white woman, then you. All right. And whoever wants to debate me, check me in the DMs. But I'm just saying, like, that's just what it is. I said, You don't understand, but I need you to get as much knowledge as you possibly can, because the one thing people can't take from you is what you know. So put yourself in a position to know as much as you can, right? And then you own that, and be who you are. Sometimes they don't always get that. So she sees me more frustrated with them than she sees me frustrated with cancer. I think, life really does still go on. I think people think that, I have stage 4 breast cancer, so my life is so easy. No, like the life, the life part is just as freaking hard as the cancer. I still have arguments with my husband for stupid stuff. Like life literally still goes on, Like it does not skip a beat. It does not get any easier. Nobody looks at me, and then it doesn't help the fact that I don't look like my journey too, right? So then it's like, oh, are you able to do all these interviews? You able to get your LLC up and running? You able to coach volleyball? You should be able to do all these other things too, right? So again, I say that to say the support system is amazing. My mom has been up here more and more times in the last year since the babies have been born than she has in all of the 20 years. Oh my God, it's been so long. 21, 20. Oh my God, 21 years I've been here.
Time flying.
I'm telling you. And that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping the next 25 years rolls just as quickly, because then I'll be here to see it, right? People say the babies are growing fast, and I say, yeah, but I'm here to see it, right? So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm here to see it. All right, I think you guys have long-winded answers, but the next my short-winded answers.
No, your answers are perfect. I think the more information you could provide, the more of your journey that you could answer or provide. I think it's better, because you touching a lot of grounds.
Yeah, and does definitely inspire
right,
people watching and probably who's going through the same situation too.
So. I hear thinking about what I'm learning from this, but I gonna save my comments to the end when we close it out. So
yeah, I'm on the same wavelength like you, P.
Yeah, I want to hear as much as I can, because it's bringing a lot of insight to me, but I'm going to save my take from it at the end. I do want to ask you. You mentioned that when people would ask you about what's the reason for cutting your hair, and the different reaction that you receive, you don't want people to feel sorry for you. Like, how do you want your close relatives, your friends, and how do you want them to treat you? Because I know automatically, I'll say to your husband, he's probably want to be on your beck and call to make sure you don't lift this or don't lift that, and like how does that type of reaction make you feel? And
so, if I'm being completely honest with you, I tell my girlfriends all the time. So you guys gonna be my girlfriends for a little bit. So I tell my girlfriends all the time, right? Like, yeah, you guys
gonna like be your girlfriend, so he's cool with that.
So, and y'all see how much transparency they come. I think a lot of times as Black people we don't share enough, right? So I'm willing to share as much as I possibly can. So I tell my girlfriends all the time, I think my husband lives in this like pseudo world of like, my wife is fine, right? Because I don't look like the journey, and I don't carry on as a journey. Like, my biggest thing is I don't want to be a burden for my family. And I've already told them, I'm saying this live too. I said, cremate me, sprinkle me here in Virginia, and take me back home to the Virgin Islands, right? Okay, so y'all listen, anything else happen, y'all should be like, look, we know she ain't wanted that, right? But I tell them that all the time, and I sometimes I say it jokingly, but there's always some truth and humor, right? I don't want to force anybody to come look at a tombstone. Listen, you ain't gonna put up a tombstone to have to come look at it, right? You sprinkle me here, put a little bit in a jewel. You want wear me with you if you want, right? And I'm always with you. But other than that, like, he does have like this false sense, like, my wife's okay, right? Because a lot of times I really don't tell him where my mind goes, right? Because my mind always and I'm gonna try not to get too into my kids, because my kids are my kryptonite. When I start thinking about the things that I potentially might not see, that does something to me, right? Because it becomes not about me now, right? I think having the twins, I remember one girlfriend said to me, she was like, that's a little selfish because I have 2 kids already. And I was like, if you've never lost children on the cusp of a diagnosis, then you don't know what that's like. And I never said anything out loud. And I don't know if this girlfriend is listening or not, but she knows who she is. When she said it, I remember being like super just in my place for a little bit because I was like, how dare you judge me? You don't know what I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to this, 6 months prior to my stage 4 diagnosis, I lost a set of twin girls. So when you move in 2 years into this journey and I get pregnant with babies again, I was like, wait, God ain't gonna give me babies only to kill me 6 months after I have them. Like, I'm just saying, listen, I know he's an all-powerful God, but he ain't gonna do that to me, right? I did have a little bit of naivety because I thought I was gonna go through this unscathed. I thought my cancer would stay at bay, right? So when it started trickling in, I had decisions to make. It was like, look, we could start you on some chemo, but I was like, nah, dude, listen, it's already bad enough that these babies are going to come here early. I know they're going to come early because I can't see it through. You're not going to let me see it through the whole way. So I can't bring kids into this world that now have some special needs because I don't know if I can deal with that. That might send me to the grave faster. I was being honest. I was being completely freaking honest. So when you ask me how my husband do, I think he has his false sense because he's like, look, this girl done got, ain't nothing getting this girl down. She got cancer. She got lost babies. She's still here. She's still trucking it through. She's coaching. If I feel up to it, I'm definitely going to be doing it.
Right.
Sense, right? But he's great. I mean, because he's like, there are times when, I have to like sit him down and I'm like, we have to start talking about like our will, right? And I still haven't done that yet. So anybody out there, diagnosis, by all means, get your will in place. Don't do like me, right? Don't do like me, okay? Because I know I'm procrastinating. But I think there's a sense of realness that comes with mortality if I sit down and I start now parsing out all my assets for my kids, right? So I think it's just that part I don't want to really like hold on to just yet. But my support system is awesome. My husband is awesome. He does have this false sense of my wife is a freaking warrior. He doesn't always understand sometimes. Like when I say to him, like, I'm tired, I think he's like, she's tired, but she's not tired. So, but I like have to like emphasize sometimes too, because again, like I will say I'm tired and then get up and do a live wire. Cause like the week I did live wire, I literally came that day I can't come from brain radiation. Right. And the days before that, I was like super tired and just sleeping. But because I committed to the interview, I was like, hey, okay, I gotta, and same here, I committed to you guys too. So I was like, look, because before this, y'all see how puffy I was when I rolled on the camera first, right? I done come into my own now. It's because I was asleep. Because I literally sleep. I would sleep for a long time. Like, and that's one thing I will say, treatments definitely do have me taking naps, which I didn't do in my prime. Now I take naps and they're long naps. Like I'll take 2 and 3 hour naps. Like that's a real thing. So, but I'm here. That's what I always say. I'm here and I'm living in the here and the now. Long-winded answer again, but
No, that's good. And kudos to you and your husband for you just recently have twins. Even with what you're going through, y'all still have that love for each other, that attraction, that the affection, and like kudos to, because a lot of people would just like give that up.
So what Pang is really saying is like, oh, so cancer actually everything still works? Yes, it still works.
hey.
Still go to the dairy aisle.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but, and it's funny because I will say, when I first cut my hair, I wasn't really sure because my husband was, like he's from Miami, so he loves he loves like glamour girls, and y'all know I was never a glamour girl, right? I was the cutest tomboy you could find, right? But I was never a glamour girl, so I didn't do a whole lot of makeup and weaves and wigs and shit like that. So I remember when we first got married back in 2014. Damn, it's gonna be 8 years on Monday next week, right?
Oh, wow.
So
wow.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Early.
First time, literally, y'all. It may have been a month, and I cut my hair off. I said I'm gonna go. I did a big chop. I rolled in and he was like, what happened to your hair? And he legit ain't talked to me. Listen, y'all, he legit ain't talked to me for 2 months.
Wow, 2 months.
And I don't have, listen, I don't know if y'all ever see me with my regular hair. right? But I ain't had that good stuff. You know what I mean? You know, like that Langolo stuff. Langolo got some good stuff. You know, even Lynn Liber got some good stuff. I ain't got that good stuff. I got like that Kevin Durant stuff, right? So he was like, what the fuck happened to your hair? I was just like, it's okay. And then it kind of grew on him. I started using products, and then it started, you know, looking a little bit better. And then when I got cancer, I remember the first thing I thought to myself was like, shit, if I lose my hair, like, what's that gonna look like? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know. And thank God for Wakanda, y'all. You remember Wakanda? It was right that year. 2018 was Wakanda year. So when I did that cut, everybody was like, oh, look at Julie being progressive. If you weren't in my immediate circle, and mind you, y'all, like if I'm being completely honest with you, I probably did not tell my mom for like a month. She didn't know anything for a month. Like I didn't say anything to her. And I think when I said it, then I said, I have breast cancer. Then I tell it at stage, right? I was just like, I have breast cancer. And I remember when I finally did tell her it was stage 4, she was like hurt. Like I could hear it in her voice, right? Because we were talking on the phone. And I chose the phone strategically because now I FaceTime my mom or WhatsApp at the time. But I strategically called her on the phone because I didn't want to like see her face or, you know what I mean? I didn't want to, because facial expressions does something.
Right.
Yeah.
I told her and I could hear in her voice, she was like, stage what? And I was like, oh, she understands. Because you know, sometimes I'd be throwing things out there because she didn't understand. By stage 4, I didn't metastatic. But when I said it, she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's stage 4. So it's serious, Mom. And then I didn't really trip. We didn't really talk about it. And I think for a while she thought I was like, just how you guys see me. I think she thought I was pretending when I would call her. And I'm like, Mommy, like what you see is what you get. Like, I'm tired. I'm telling you, I'm tired. But I don't throw up. Like I haven't been throwing up. I haven't been doing anything. That's the first 4 years. Y'all, this first treatment of this new line, day 2, literally, I was like, oh my God, couldn't keep anything down. It was awful. But I strategically did that. So, cause it was, cause I didn't want to, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to tell my mommy that, you know, there's the serious thing that I had going on, but she's been a trooper. I've been a trooper too. Okay. Sorry. What else we got?
Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
What else we got?
Yeah, this is about you today. So as long as you want to talk, it's all about you today.
But I will say though, right? Like, listen, I hands down, and I had this conversation with Bari. I said to him, like, as you know, I still talk to Bari too, by the way, Jabari Brown.
Yeah, you got to point out go to war for us because we want to talk to Hito.
Okay, I'm gonna let him know. Yeah, but Bari, I was talking to Bari, and he was like, you know, Julie, it's because you're an athlete. He's like, you're persevering because you're an athlete, because you know what those ins and outs, you know what those falls, you know what the losses are, you know what that's like, you know what it is to keep going. And I said, man, you ain't lying, because you know people ask me all the time, like, you know, how do you stay so positive? I'm like, well, shit, I really just don't want to die before I die. Like, it's like, look, if you start telling yourself you're sick, you're gonna be sick. You know what I was doing when on this first line of this second line ish? I was like, and I hope I don't be sick. I hope I'm not gonna be sick. I hope I'm not gonna be sick. And guess what? First fucking week, I was sick. I was like throwing up. Couldn't literally. I have to do PT. Like it's so much, y'all. It's so much shit I gotta go on. Like, and people, things that they don't think about and things that they don't tell you. So I have stage 4 breast cancer. Didn't have any surgeries because it's stage 4. So when it's a stage 4, they try to treat you systematically, right? So that's how the chemo goes in. Radiation is something that's local, and that's like really like, it's more like what's the word I'm looking for, y'all? Help me. Chemo brain, damn it. It's more like focused, right? So radiation is more focused. So I did do radiation, but I didn't do radiation until 2 or 3 years into it after the twins were born, because by then now the cancer was like, hello, vacation. And that, y'all, my boob literally looked like it was about to fall off. Literally, like, think about a boob and it looking like it was about to fall off. That's what I was walking around with on my chest. And I was just like, holy cow, because they don't tell you radiation is a burn, but it almost looks like you have a 30-degree burn. And you can still see some of my scarring, right? It's starting to lighten up a little bit, but it's still a thing. It's still a thing. But I was like, that depressed me a lot too, because I was like, am I dying? I don't want to die right now. Like, listen, the things that go through your mind, y'all, you're like, some of the things I've Googled. Longest living person with metastatic breast cancer. Guess what you find?
0.
You find no one?
No
Wow.
one. Nobody they pull up. Nobody they pull up to tell you it's been 20 plus years. Because that's what I'm aiming for, right? 20 plus years. But when you think about it, 20 years is a long time. 20 plus, any time is a long time to be on chemo. Because what they don't tell you too is even though chemo is working, chemo is actually killing you too, right? You got things like neuropathy. So I have from time to time, like my thumbs, like my fingertips, they start feeling like they're numb and tingly. And then the soles of my feet too. My fingernails have turned like this black. They have like this black thing. That's why I cover them now. They have this little black thing underneath where it's weird. I've lost a toenail because it just falls off from time to time because I bruise like a banana. Well, we ain't gonna talk about all the craziness, but I will tell you, they don't tell you those things, and unless you're living it, you don't know it, right? But once it happens, you have to find the mental fortitude to be like, okay, this is just a tick on the belt. You still got a whole other ticks to go. Keep it moving, right? That's really what it boils down to, keeping it moving.
Powerful stuff, Julie. Powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's important that you describe those stuff because a lot of people don't realize the stuff that you go through when you have different diseases and stuff like that.
All of these are gone, y'all. Literally, like the bottom and the top are gone, like literally. And these, y'all, they look good, right?
Yep.
They're tattooed on because I don't have tattooed. Yeah, so these are microbladed, and it's been so I would say of all the things that I've kind of like done after being diagnosed, because the hair leaves everywhere, right? This has been probably the better of the things because first of all, my eyebrows always look like they're on fleek, and then two, when I don't have eyebrows, there's something that when you look at me, you could see like she got no eyebrows either. What's wrong with her? What's going on with her? So, and I'm always about not looking like the journey. Like my husband will tell you, I have a bald head, but once it starts growing back, because you can tell when your chemo is not going to allow your hair to grow back because it looks like it's white and then it has like it looks spaced out. It looks like I'm balding. And I'm like, my husband will tell you, like, as soon as I get like a little fuzz ball, I'll be like, whoop, time to go to the barber. Because that's when I look sick. Like I literally, like I look at it and I'm like, oh, I look like that, right? So I try to always keep it nice and bald. When I have like new function, I'm like, let's bald this thing, right? Because in those instances, whenever I look sick, I think it does something to me mentally. So it's always about keeping up the appearances. And when I say keeping up the appearances, it's not to pretend to be something that you're not. But if you look good, y'all, chances are you feel good. Like I'm looking at myself at this camera as I'm talking to you guys. I'm like, because the first time they'll tell you, I came on here, I told Mumba, Tiga, and Peng, and I was like, look, we gotta I gotta find some earrings. I can't be on here with no earrings. Right? I can't be on here with no earrings. So I had to find just the right earrings too. I had these choices, Black Lives Matter, but I was like, that's too loud. And then I had these choices, these ones, and I was like, we ain't going on a date. So I was like, we have to change it. So I gave you guys some hoops, okay? This is the natural look. But
that definitely uplift the Wakanda moment to the hoops.
Yeah.
Sure did. All right, hit me. More questions. What you guys got?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment.
We had a couple of your questions.
Okay.
The list of places you played at overseas.
Okay, so I only played in 2 countries. So I played in Finland and Spain. In Finland, I played for Anacostia Huim. And in Spain, I played for Pio Doce in Santiago de Compostela, Spain.
You had any run-ins with Coffee in Spain?
No, because where was Spain? Wasn't Coffee in Madrid?
No.
You know where he was at?
He was at Mallorca.
And where?
And he was at Zaragoza.
Where?
I think it was closer to the African border.
Yeah, because I was in Santiago de Compostela, which was almost, I think, is an hour from Madrid or an hour or 2 by train.
Yeah, so you was closer to the city.
I didn't see him.
To the capital. You was closer to the capital.
A little bit.
Yeah, I was in Barcelona in Spain.
Barcelona.
Yeah.
Did you?
Arracina.
Did you guys at all, like, when you were playing overseas, did you ever like take some time to actually take in the scenery and do tours and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I made a
I did
whole
when I played in different countries.
movie.
I did.
So I would say you're so stupid. I would say that's one of the things I wish I did, because I was, and maybe that's what makes me so good at the job that I have, like my day job, right? So I'm a portfolio manager, but I always, like, business was business. So I never really mix business and pleasure. Even when we were a national team and the girls would go off for them tours or whatever it is to see the country in Jamaica, Guatemala, like I didn't really do those things with the purpose of like truly leisure. And I wish I did more of that, right? So even though I've been at these countries, I can't really say that I've enjoyed these countries. And that's the difference of where I'm at in this space in my life, right? So where I go, I want to tour and see. Like I went home, y'all should have seen your girl. I was a tourist. I was like, come on, somebody gonna take me a tour around this island. Like I ain't know it. And you don't take into consideration the wonders. Like I grew up in the most beautiful place. You hear what I'm telling you? Beautiful place. Always blue skies, always white clouds, always greenery. And that's probably another reason why I chose Virginia, because you get a lot of greenery in Virginia, right? I kind of live in the sticks of Virginia too, but live in the most beautiful place. And I'd never really like taken in like just all that we have to offer. So I was like, when I was home last, I was like, look, we're gonna tour this thing and say the same to St. Martin. Even though I'd been there before. We just got to, like, we take that shit for granted, right? Until you get to Virginia and they go like, oh, we going to the beach. And you get down there and the water brown. You like,
yeah. That's
what kind of insult is this? You know what a beach is? It's like a pond, right?
How did your kids take in St. Thomas? Like, how were they enjoying it? Not your twins, because I know they're
know
not,
nothing yet.
yeah. But how was your older ones?
My daughter and son, because we went parasailing, not parasailing, but what's that thing they put you up in the thing?
Parasailing.
Is it parasailing? Is
it
ship?
Parasailing.
Okay, so we did
parasailing. The boat was pulling you and I up in the air. That's parasailing.
Okay, so we went parasailing. We went and did the zip line in St. Thomas too, which I didn't know we had a zip line. That was that last drop, y'all. If you ain't that last drop, I was scared. Like I was legitimately scared. My husband could see the fear on my face. I was like, I just gotta step off. No, I'm good. They love that because we had all the excursions there. I will say though, we did St. Martin too. And St. Martin, it ain't as kid friendly. So, the kids enjoyed the pool at the resort, but we didn't really get to do a whole lot because I had the twins too. And it was by myself. And my husband didn't come on that trip, but we're supposed to go back this summer. So hopefully he'll be able to attend this go round. But my daughter wasn't really like impressed with St. Martin. She was like, St. Thomas is much better. I was like, you pick right, girl. You pick right. I'd love to get to St. Croix though. Like, because again, I've been to St. Croix many times with the national team, right? Like that's the hub of the national team. But I've never really
used to be in St. Croix.
Yeah, all our practices. So they don't have practices in St. Croix anymore?
Yeah.
Oh, right. See, I told you the hub of the national team. And what's that hotel? The Frederickstad Hotel?
Yes.
I think that's the name of it. Yeah, Frederickstad
Hotel.
Hotel.
But I've never like really taken in the island either. You know what I mean? So I'd love to be able to take in St. Croix too. I'm going to tour, be on my tours. You should hear me when I get down there, y'all. I'll be like, yeah. So do you guys have a tour? And then some people listen. We can say what we want, right? I DM me later. But when I get home, sometimes I be like, this is why nobody wants to come back. Y'all don't know anything about customer service.
Oh my
I'll be
God.
like, excuse me, hello. And then what? Excuse me? Hold on. Let me hold on. They be like that on the phone.
Welcome home.
My mother-in-law came too. She was like, so Julie, we need to. I was like, Miss Monica, we ain't that kind of party, y'all. We in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but we might as well be in the islands, just islands.
Right.
But yeah.
We don't realize that until after we live up here. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Right. Listen, I can call. Let me tell y'all how many times Oriental Bank. If anybody listening from Oriental Bank, just letting you know. My mother the other day. So she tried to take some money out the ATM and she couldn't get it. And y'all know me, right? I've been here a long time. So I'm like, you would just call somebody and fix a problem, right? I said, I do a Google. I was like, Google Oriental St. Thomas. Found a number. Call it. Tell me why that thing ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. Finally get somebody. Hello, good afternoon. Oh, good afternoon. I'm calling for my mom. Da, 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 da. She said, oh, hold on. Why she put us on hold and then disappeared?
Never came back. Wow.
Came back. I said, oh my God. So I had to call the 888 number. And I talked to somebody probably in Puerto Rico who was much better help. But I was like, oh my God, y'all. We got to do better. You know, people ask me all the time if I want to come home. And I always say, and again, DM me, we can talk about this. As much as proud of a Virgin Islander as I am, I always say a couple of things. One, St. Thomas can't afford me, right? Number one, that's the first thing, can't afford me. And then two, it's like I'd prefer to visit because everything is so, I always say like everything is so slow, and there's nothing wrong with slow, but I've just lived more of on a fast pace right now. Maybe that's someplace I retire, but it's just hard sometimes because I'm like, you can't get somebody on the phone. It takes forever and a day to get anything. And again, until you've gone somewhere and seen something different, and you don't know anything different. So I just always say that, like those two things. I'm like, can't afford me, and then it's just slow. I need everything a little bit faster.
A week, 2 weeks tops. You know what I'm saying?
I could do a month. Don't get me wrong. I could do a month because it'd be good for it. It's good for me because I'm always moving on 100. So it's always good to go home and just be beach hopping, somebody backyard, just chilling on a stoop somewhere, just chilling, just to like be low. But it can't be more than a month, more than 4 weeks. We can't do that. Sorry.
2 weeks, 2 weeks is good for
easily.
me.
I did have a question. I have lost it for a while. When you were mentioning chemotherapy, and you also mentioned that as much as chemotherapy you use to help reduce the cancer, it's still killing you. Have you ever thought about any natural procedures or anything like that?
So I am glad you asked that question. So there are a couple of things. I do a little bit of research, and I'm not by any means or stretch of the imagination a holistic doctor or holistic person, but I do believe, I'll tell you guys, our island people, my brothers and sisters, let me tell you, everything we need, we have at home.
Right.
If I want to get some soursop, y'all, I'm gonna pay for that thing to be frozen, and I'm gonna pay $7 a pop. All right, just so y'all know, when we can just pick that shit off a tree. Okay. Right. Meringue is another thing too. First of all, I didn't realize that the meringue. So I didn't realize that meringue, the bush, the tree, what it was, right? Because see it all over. Listen, you go down in the west, all over the west.
Yeah, all over.
Right. But and I haven't quite find any place online where I can find like meringue bush. But meringue is supposed to be another like natural sort of like tea bush that we can take. But like everything we need, everything they say is good for cancer, to minimize cancer, to help with cancer. And again, don't mean it's going to be a cure, but at least it helps your body kind of withstand and go on a little bit longer. That shit we have at home. That's probably the one thing that would probably get me home and stay home. But again, it's still too soon. So that's why I say a month at a time. But I always try to bring back stuff when I'm coming. So like last time they dried, my mom and Grandma B dried some meringue bush, and I brought that back with me. And then I try to find soursop leaves where I can. So when people are coming up, I'll be like, "Can you bring me some soursop leaves, please?" Because you try to buy them online, you don't know if you're buying the right thing, right? And I said the right thing because anybody can sell anything to you. You don't know what soursop bush looks like. You don't know what it smells like. Then somebody sends you something, and it's like, "Oh yeah, that's it." You know what I mean? But that's not always. That's true. You know what soursop, your lemongrass, like all that stuff. We growing it right there, ain't costing us nothing either, right?
Yeah, free.
That's what I'm saying. Let me tell you, if I want to get some soursop right now, let me see if I can. Hold on for a second. Let me see if I can find a container of it so I can show you what's $7.
Okay.
Yeah, that things be expensive, man.
Man, so expensive. We have a few Caribbean stores in Jacksonville that I have certain stuff, but it don't be the same, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And I'm
don't be
pretty
the
sure
same.
they're paying $7 or whatever to get it into their store, and sell it to you for 10,
Yeah, it's true.
We know this brand, and we know this brand very well.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So yeah, so this right here. Wait, hold on, the camera. This right here is $7 a pop, and it comes frozen. Lasts a long time. I can get about 3 smoothies out of this. So I try to get smoothies where I can. Munch. Sorry.
What's your supermarket in Virginia?
So we actually have a Walmart Supercenter. We have Publix too. We have Weiss, and we also have Shoppers. I don't know if that's familiar. Is that familiar down there?
Publix
No.
and Walmart is the only two for us.
Yeah, Publix.
That what you mentioned?
Walmart. So you can get this from Walmart. That's
Okay.
my big kid. That's
Yeah,
my
I want to say I think I seen it in Walmart before.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's in.
I
That's
think
exactly.
so.
That's in Walmart. Thank you
Yeah.
much. Yeah, so that's so I get that. I'll try to make smoothies, and I'm not gonna lie. You remember I told you earlier that I've been depressed a little bit. So for me, I haven't actually made a smoothie in 6 weeks.
Oh,
Bad, which is bad. So I'll put soursop. So soursop is good. Turmeric is good. Cardamom is good, even though it tastes like dirt. It really does taste like dirt. 25 years or more. Thank you. So with all that being said, like, really and truly, like, it really does boil down to, well, what are we putting in our bodies, right? I would tell you guys, I mean, I don't know how much you guys really want to get into this, but in my prime, I did not, listen, I don't even know if this is appropriate, so you guys can just stop me in my tracks if you need to.
No, go ahead. This is your story. So
I did not
go
poop
ahead.
every day. And I thought that shit was normal, y'all. I thought it was normal. Did not poop every day, and I thought it was normal. If you are not pooping every day, you should be worried. There's something going on. If you think about it, the stuff going in and waste needs to come out, and waste is not coming out, something is going on.
Yeah,
But
that's
even
true.
in my prime, right, when I had 6-pack, I wasn't pooping every day, and I thought that shit was normal. I then get diagnosed, and I remember chemo, and then I changed the way I ate. And then now I pretty much poop every day. I'm on a 95% poop rate every day. And when I don't poop every day, I get a little worried. And then I ask my kids too, right? Because what we put in has to come out.
yeah.
If it's not coming out, you should be asking yourself what's going on inside your body. I remember my mom used to be, when we were young, oh, you gotta get clean. You should get whatever that thing was to drink. And then you have movements.
Yeah, ball movements. Yeah,
You miss all those things when you move to the States, because a little bit of the culture kind of like gets watered down, right? It really does.
Not a little bit, a lot.
A lot.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I was trying to save myself some grace.
Yeah.
Because I remember I took my son home. So my son actually saw the island before my bonus baby did. But when I took my son home, I remember I went back to my romping grounds in Savon, and Tosh and the guys in the corner, and Tosh went to pong him, and my son was like, so you gotta tell him fist bump. I said, you gotta tell my son fist bump. You don't know anything about that.
Dap. He ain't know nothing about no dap. Give me daps. He ain't know nothing about that.
You don't know what no dap is. You gotta say fist bump. Tosh turned to me and he said, "Son, what kind of thing this is? He's an island boy." I say, I know, I gotta do better. And then I took him down my bari, and he needed to pee. So I was like, man, he need to pee. Bari said, "Son, put a boy there right in the bush." So he pee on the tree.
He probably thought, like, I can't pee outside.
He listened to me. Let me tell you how CJ was like, "Daddy, when we were in the Virgin Islands, I peed on a tree." And it's crazy because you can't do the things that, like,
No.
You can't do that up,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
that's
he's like,
true.
I peed on a tree. But anyway, I digress. Any more questions that we got?
We have your question here.
What happened?
What would you tell the young VI athletes to look out for as they move forward in their athletic career?
That's a good question. So I think the biggest thing is haters, right? You always have to be on the lookout for people trying to get you off your game, right? Because one thing I'll say is, if you're good at what you do, you're gonna shine regardless if they want to bench you, throw you around, do whatever. If you're good at what you do, you're always gonna be seen. And sometimes it be the same people on your team that they want you to win. You know what I mean? Or it might be the people in the network that have their eyes on somebody else they think might be better than you. but in fact, you are the cream of the crop. But you gotta not lose faith in yourself. You know what I mean? When somebody tells you you can't do some shit, you be like, you know what? I got you. I got something for that. That's all you say. I got something for that, and let your work show. I would definitely say that's probably the one thing that I carry well. I do well. I don't talk so much about the shit that I'm doing. I just do it. Right? Like every day I just show up. I don't have to tell everybody I have cancer. I just show up. And
Right.
then the backstory becomes, oh, by the way, I'm doing this shit with stage 4 breast cancer. And they're like, what? Right? I mean, that's just what it boils down to. But just all you gotta do is make sure you're showing up for you. Be your authentic self in anything that you do. If you ain't a scorer, don't try to be a scorer. If you are a rebounder, do that. If you are, a defensive specialist, make sure you're a defensive specialist. But just make sure that you stay true to who you are. Don't be trying to change it because the scene has changed. Because guess what? When you start doing that, you start looking like a Sasquatch. And you want to be a Sasquatch. Because sometimes only one time you get to prove yourself. And if you try to be somebody else and it doesn't show up right, I'm just saying, you might just that shot might just be gone. And always think somebody's watching. You gotta always think that somebody's watching.
Always.
I tell my kids that now.
One,
we got cameras in the house. They know somebody's always watching.
one thing I always took from Mumba favorite coach, Tilvesta, that he whenever you step on the court, like you're always in practice mode. Like even if you just come in to just mess around, you mess around doing shots that you're gonna do in the game. You know what I'm saying? I always took that from him.
Practice how you gonna play.
Yes, you practice how you gonna play. Like I'd tell my son, are you gonna be shooting these trees in the game?
Facts.
He'd be like, no. Shoot the shots you're gonna shoot in the game. You do that every day. So when you get in that game, it be gonna come like second nature to you. That's gonna be the first thing you do, and then you're gonna be consistent too. So that's one thing I took from Tilvesta.
I think I say that in different ways for the 11-year-olds. I tell the 14, 17-year-old athlete too, right? For volleyball, I tell them, like, look, coach ain't worried about wins and losses. And then I give them like the disclaimer. Yes, I am really, but no, I'm not really, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not really about the wins and losses. It's about, are you doing the thing right way? Because if you're doing it the right way, your wins are going to come, right? It might not come right now, but you got to practice doing it the right way. Like one time last week, in the 14, 17-year-old game, one of the girls like kick her hand out just and hit it with one hand. And then the parents were like, yeah. I was like, don't be a kicker. And then my player was like, I was like, you can't live on that. Yeah, I went over this time. It's funny because just so I said it, the next play, another girl on the team, right? Another one of my players tried to do the same thing and didn't make it. I said, and I turned to the parents and I said, see, y'all encourage her to do that shit, and that's why.
Yeah, don't walk.
Right? But he's absolutely right. Exactly what you're gonna do in a game is exactly what you should be doing every time you step on the court. So full disclosure, y'all here talking, and you can get to hear a little bit about my parenting style. It's my bonus baby. So again, she's on my 9-11 team. Remember, my 9-year-old team win the 13th place. So we ain't won one game all season. We going into the playoffs in the 13th place.
So everybody going into the playoff, or
everybody goes into the playoff, which is great because again,
give all a chance, right?
It's county volleyball. So I said to her, and I was really awesome that day, right? I was really, because I'm like, these little girls. First of all, they don't listen. They're a great group of girls. They keep me honest, right? They keep me honest. They keep me young. But they don't listen. I got this one kid, but we ain't gonna talk about her. But we gonna talk about. Let's talk about my daughter. I can talk about my child. So my daughter looks the part, y'all. She is already 5'4". She wears a size 11 women's shoe, like real tall, like just slender, athletic. Just looks like it, right? I'd like to say I contributed to her, any of that DNA, but I didn't. But still, she looks the part. She's gonna be okay, right? And she's actually much better than I was at her age.
At that age. 11.
So I always caveat with that. But when you see potential, it's so hard for you sometimes to be like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, no, you got to get some grit, girl. You got to. So she's out there, and I say, Munch. Her nickname is Munchkin. Her first name is Amora, but I call her Munch. I say, Munch, move to the ball. You got to move to the ball, right? And I be trying to listen because she says I'm a much better coach than I'm a mom, right? So I be trying to stay on the good side for the coach.
That's good, though. That's good. That's a good thing.
Munch, you gotta move to this ball, right? Ball comes again, and she's just standing there, just looking like a great player. But ain't moving to the damn ball. So at the end, we driving now, and I say, Munchkin, I said, listen, let me go on record and say that I hate the fact that you effing have these socks mismatched out here. But you look good. I said, but you look good. I said, you want somebody to come watch you play the way you played today? She said, I said, but you look good though, right? You look real good. I said, you think you just show up and it's gonna happen? I said, you look the part in anything you show. And I said, Mom, you are much better than Mom looked at this age. I'm just saying, I'm being honest there. But I'm never gonna be that parent that says, oh, you're doing great. When you're just doing okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta be honest.
So that kind of, you should have seen the look on her face. She was like, is she really telling me I sucked it up today? Yep, in so many words, I sure am. And then I gave her a good example. I said, take for example, I got to keep people's names out of this because I'm talking about kids now. But take for example, this player. That player doesn't look half as athletic as you. But guess what? She comes out every day wanting to play.
Right.
You just want to look good. You got your head, your pink bandana, your little shorts on, your mismatched socks. You got all the gear on, girl. But you playing like trash. I made that face. I said, but guess what? That kid look nothing like you. But when she comes out, she shows up better. You know why? Because she's trying. And she looked at me and I was like, I'm just saying. I said, if you want Mom to just be like, oh, good job. You good girl. That's not gonna be me.
I always
Same
think
way too.
I always think parents are just as responsible for the way how these kids play today, because like parents don't give them the truth. You know, their son is a star. I remember my son was playing football, and they're in the playoff. One last game to go to the championship game, and we'd have come down to your city, Mumbai, for state.
Yeah.
And the best player, and the coach run a play not for the best player and the team.
Yeah.
And the play didn't work out, and we lose. The mother we in the huddle, the kids, the coach giving the pep talk and everything. The mother come and drag her son out the huddle and say, my son never coming back to this team, yeah. And I'm like really? Like, and saying that like you should have ran the play for him, and I was like, that's why he ain't gonna make it nowhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm not saying he ain't gonna make it, because he might, but he gonna make it with the wrong.
He might not go. Yeah, he might not go as far.
Right.
Yeah.
And if he does, he gonna make it with the wrong mentality.
Right. Because you're not giving him the.
Right.
Yeah.
And because this is what as his mom, this is what you're teaching him.
Yeah.
Like
that's okay. That's not okay.
They all know that he's the best player. But what I say to the player the coach run the play for, that probably don't get as much play call for him. What imagine what, even though he didn't make it, what's that gonna do for his his little
self-esteem? Yeah,
exactly. That the coach even tried that. You know what I'm saying? It ain't about winning all the time, or you know.
Sometimes it's about teaching them. Just like, again, life's gonna ebb and flow. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some.
Right.
I could see some of the parents, right, especially for my 14 to 17-year-olds. But I have every game, I have a new captain, right? And I do that strategically because, some of these kids, they might not ever be a captain, right? Based on their play style. But it's important, right? I think right now, because this is rec ball, right? First of all, nobody ain't paying me to do this.
Right.
Nobody ain't paying me to do this. And they set up the rules in such a way that everybody has to play anyway. So it ain't like I could sub anybody out if I want to. Like one time I gave them a pep talk. I was like, guys, it ain't like I could sub you out even if I wanted to. Right? Like everybody got to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's get out this rotation, because if we don't get out the rotation, you ain't gonna play anyway.
And that's one thing I like about those age. They make the rules where everybody has to play a minimum of this amount of time. Yeah. And I love that, because
in volleyball here, every time you rotate, somebody has to come in. So that's how it plays. So literally every time somebody rotates, somebody's coming in, somebody
new, right?
Every time. So that's why every game I say we're gonna have. And my daughter has not been captain, and I purposely did that because, again, I think sometimes people think like, oh well, she's a coach, her daughter's gonna play all the time. Well, no, y'all hear me talking about my child, because Munchkin will mess up, and I'll be like, that's my kid. That is my kid. He should be better. But she hasn't been captain because, again, we've had 13 games so far. 13, no, 7, I think. But yeah, we get to the playoffs tomorrow, guys. So wish us
Good
luck.
good
Yeah,
luck.
good luck, man.
My 9-11-year-olds, y'all. Let me tell you a funny
pull out
story
the
about my
upset.
9-11-year-olds. We get in the huddle, so mind you, we haven't won any game yet. And I'm in the huddle, mind you. First of all, you could tell the 9-11, right? And most of them are 10 and 11, but they're looking off to the side. You can't get their attention right where you're at. They're looking off to see who else is doing whatever else. And I'm just like, hey, pay attention. I'll do like that. Pay attention. And they're like,
for about 10 seconds and we're
Right.
gone again.
and then I say, hey guys, look, we got to do this. You know exactly what you need to do. And then I got one of my players and she says, you know what, coach? You're right. And every time I'm just going to say chicken fingers. Literally, y'all, in the huddle. And I'm just like,
That's
bro,
hilarious.
Wait, that's not one of your plays? Chicken fingers?
Chicken
No.
fingers. That's hilarious.
She just wants to say it. She says, I'm just going to say chicken fingers. Every time I touch the ball.
Very sight on a movie or something.
Listen, I tell you, I couldn't make this stuff up. I couldn't make it up. So much fun though. But like I said, I realized that all 11-year-olds don't listen, not just mine. But I'm like, Lord, like even one play, right? I had to tell them, I was like, oh my God, you are my biggest non-listener, right? I said this to one of the girls, and then they said, who's the second? This is the consensus. This is what
they're getting excited about.
They said,
Yeah.
They said, who's the second? I said, my daughter. And they said, okay, who's the third? I said, listen, don't worry about who's the third. Pay attention. We got.
They more intrigued with that. They more
Like,
intrigued
they
with
definitely listen. One thing I will say is they definitely are having fun because they all show up all the time, and they are always like intrigued with what I'm saying. One of the parents were like, "So are you gonna coach again next year?" And I was like, "Yeah, 12 to 13, because my daughter by then will be 12." I said, because then I asked how old the other young girl was with me. She's like, she's gonna be 11. I was like, I don't know if y'all could really convince me next year to do 9 to 11, 12 to 13, and 14 to 17. Like
yeah, that's a
2
lot.
is my
That's a
minimum.
lot.
2 is my minimum and my maximum. So we'll see. But I don't know. But they definitely do keep me young, and they keep me like, pleasantly occupied too. Because when I'm out there with them, I'm not thinking about cancer. I'm not thinking about anything else but these girls.
That's what sports does for you.
That's living.
Yeah. Sports. I know all of us have said this on a podcast before. Sports have always been our therapy growing up. Our getaway. You know what I'm saying? And even coaching, like you just said, it just takes you away from all the everyday problems and struggles that we have.
Facts.
Yeah, it frees your mind.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna try to. So since I had the port put in, so in case you guys don't know what a port looks like, so you see this right here. This is where they infuse me, and then this looks a little rawer than normal, but it's been hurting the last couple of days. But normally it doesn't hurt; it just looks more painful than it is. But this is where they get this needle thing, and they attach it here. And this is what the medicine goes through. So I don't have to use my veins, because they say chemo going directly into your veins actually starts to like paralyzes them or something. They make it worse. It's not good on your veins. So they actually pump it into my heart, and then my heart pumps it out to the rest of my body. And it's always opposite where your cancer is. So my cancer is on the left side. So the port is on the right side.
How long that process take?
Actually, so they have to put you under. That was another thing too.
Wow.
But it wasn't long. I think it was probably an hour, maybe. I think I went in. It was an outpatient thing. But this has been going on since February 22nd of 2018. So I've had it since then, and it's been working, no issues. But since I put the port in, one of the things that he was saying was like, I got to watch the impact. So I haven't played any basketball in all of that time, but now I feel kind of like, you know what, I've at least played volleyball. That hasn't been bad. So I think I could probably do some basketball. So I really want to get back out, especially since I have lymphedema in this arm. You guys see how fat it is compared to the other one?
Yeah, I could see the difference.
So they don't tell you your lymph nodes, your lymphatic system. It's essentially, listen, you have to confirm what I'm saying, because I don't think I really even understand truly all of lymphedema yet. But the fluid in my body that kind of like moves the waste or nutrients or whatever it is through your body, it's not working. So the liquid is pooling in my extremity, which is my left hand. And it's all obviously, again, connected to the left breast. So getting thicker. I don't think there's really any exercise you can do to slim it up. You really just got to keep the fluid moving up and out.
Blood flow.
I don't even really know if it's a blood flow thing. It's a little deeper than that.
Oh, deep.
But,
Okay.
I do PT, so I see a physical therapist to try to keep this as small as possible. I'm going to be fitted for garments. But yeah, you can see it's like, it's really.
Yeah, you could see.
Definitely see the difference.
Yeah. That's why I don't wear anything on this hand, because any obstruction, literally, like I'll have sausage fingers, y'all. And it's actually more swollen than it has been in the last couple of days. I keep losing the mirror.
You could see the definition in your right hand, but there's no definition in your left.
So another thing. So not only do I have stage 4 breast cancer, but I also have the lymphedema as a result of the cancer. So things that you got to kind of pay attention to. If I had to do it all over again, I would chop the shit off, to be honest. It's a little too late now. And the reason I would chop it off would be because I feel like in keeping it, right? And it wasn't like they gave me a choice to keep it or not. Just so you guys know, I don't want you guys to be like, oh, she's so vain, she just kept the boob and it's killing her. No, stage 4, they treated me for systematically with chemo. That chemo shrunk everything down. You couldn't see anything. And then I was like, okay, well, if you can't see nothing, can we cut something? And they're like, well, we can't. What we gonna cut? We can't see nothing.
Yeah, can't see.
And then, when it got back to where it is now, by then it was just so progressed. They were like, if we cut you, we don't even know if you will heal properly. You might heal to the fact where it's cancer healing over. And who wants that? Nobody wants that. I was like, that makes sense. I didn't think about that, right? You know what I mean? Like, you cut me, maybe the cancer is what grows over in replace of my skin. I'm like, yeah, we don't want to do that. We good. So this is my friend, and I got to keep her until I can't keep her no more. So, but if I had to do it all over again, I'll probably cut it off. And just, I don't know. As much as I rock this bald head, maybe I've been one boob too. Call me one boob Jew.
Yeah.
Listen, if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry, man. So you gotta find. I mean, you really gotta find like the humor in it all too, right? Like, life is gonna ebb and flow. And I always say I could not have written my life any different. Like I couldn't have written it any more dramatic than I lived it.
Right.
Like I really couldn't. Like you can't write this up. I think sometimes when I tell my supervisor what's going on, he's like, "She's making this shit up. She got to be making this shit up. She can't be either that bad looking or just." Like some shit got to be happening right now. Like she got to be making this shit up.
But another reason why you wouldn't change your story is because your story prepared you for this very moment right here, for this very moment to come and talk to Mumba, myself, and Tegan and share it the way you are sharing it. That's why you can't change it.
Yeah.
That's a good question. So I see the comment from Kirian. Do I have plans to write a book? So I'll be honest, right? I wrote 3 books so far. One still with the illustrator. But I wrote 2 children's books. And I wrote 2 children's books because I wanted my kids. I think it was selfish, right? A little bit. Because I want my kids to remember me and remember how I portrayed them to the world, right? And portrayed our story to the world. So that's 1. And then 2, I know I have to write a book. And I'll talk about everything. I'll talk about marital issues. I'll talk about everything in this book, right? Because it really is life still goes on.
Yeah.
And you still have to persevere. But I will say, when I pick up the pen or the typewriter and start typing, it's so depressing. I have to relive it. It's not therapeutic, right? Some people, when they write things down to get it off their chest, it hasn't been therapeutic. So I haven't been as consistent as sharing the story on paper as I have been, but I have started one. Right now, I guess I can throw this out there. Right now, I have like stage 4, right? Stage, I think it's like different. Hold on. in my trusty iPhone. What the title is, and it actually was the title my husband suggested. Oh, stage 4: strength, triumph, adversity, goals, and everything else. That's what the stage means, but I call it stage 4. So, and 4 for my 4 kids. I got 4 kids, right? It just happens happens to work out that way.
It's true.
But let me hold on. Yeah, I started it. Like I started writing, but I don't know yet. And part of me too, I never think that I'm as important as as these platforms, right? So I can appreciate you guys asking me to come on here. Like, it's an honor to come and share my story. And for my humble beginnings on 32 square miles in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, right? But it's always that fear too, like, hey, is my story really that freaking important? Like who wants to read? You know what I mean? Like that's what gets in your head, right? It's easier for me to write a children's book because it's rhyming, it's cute, right? It's happy. Right?
Yeah.
It elicits all these good feelings. But writing about that life, the life that I've lived, right? Single mom, not growing up with means, not knowing my dad, meeting my husband, infidelity. You could talk about I've lived it, right? Loss of babies, cancer, like all of these things is really my story. And I know, like I said, I always say all the time, I know it's easy, but it's work. It's definitely work.
You read a lot of books?
I do. So one of my favorite books is called Stop Doing That Shit.
Who wrote that?
By Gary. What's Gary's last name? Hold on, let me tell you. I'll tell you right now. But Stop Doing That Shit. He has this little hold on, doing that. Gary Bishop. That's right. Gary Bishop is his last name. Gary John Bishop. And he just talks about like your mental piece. The Power of Now is also a good one with Eckhart Tolle. And when I say read books, I actually do more audiobooks than I do reading. But
You're still reading.
It's still the same, right?
It's true.
Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is really good too, and that just talks about the power of now. He said some things in his book. I was just like, that makes a lot of sense. Huh. Why think about that, right? Like seriously.
Yeah.
Those, and I think I do a lot more entrepreneurial books than anything else. But I think a lot of those entrepreneurial books do prepare you in the real world too, right? How do you apply it, right? A lot of it is like your mental fortitude. I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to remember the one from Kobe Bryant's his trainer. And I'll tell you because that one's a good one too. What books are you guys reading?
You talk about The Alchemist? No.
While you're looking, the reason why I asked if you to read books, you were mentioning
Relentless.
Relentless.
Okay,
I read that one.
That's a good one. That's a good one too.
The reason why I asked that because you said you wonder if your story is worthy or like do people really want to hear? And I was wondering why do you want to hear like your favorite author's story or like?
Well, I don't even think John Bishop when he talks about his stuff. Gary John Bishop when he talks about his stuff, it's not really so much about him. It's really about like just this like hypothetical like. Here's where we are as human beings. Here's what we do as human beings. And here's how we need to stop doing that shit, right? Like you second guessing yourself. So exactly what I just talked about is exactly why he said I need to not do it, right? You don't need to worry about people not wanting to hear your story because you're going to touch somebody's life. But that still doesn't negate the fact that I'm still having those emotions, right?
Right.
And especially since it's not fun for me to write because I do have to drudge up. And then I think too, like, with me sharing this story, it's not just my story, it's my husband's story too, right? It's my kid's story too, right? How much of our shit do I really want to put out there for people to recognize that you can still get over shit to be, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, pretty much.
Right? My husband might read the fucking book and be like, excuse me, guys, I have a potty mouth. Curse for emphasis. It's almost like he might read the book and be like, can't say that, can't put that. But again, for me, I always want to be truthful because I think we do too much sugarcoating sometimes.
Right.
I think sometimes we don't say enough, right? You know, one of my girlfriends always says, she's like, Julie, I don't understand like how these random people just come up to you and they just always sharing all the business. I was like, because I give them a safe space, right?
Yeah,
I am transparent, so therefore they feel like, hey, it's a safe space because I don't judge nobody. Listen, no, there are seldom things that I judge. However, if you are being harmful to a child, and I mean like truly harmful to a child, then maybe I might have some thoughts. But I still wouldn't be like, because I know parenting is hard. Okay? There's a lot of things that I did wrong with my daughter that I'm trying to improve with my son. And there's a lot of things that I do wrong with my son that I'm trying to not make sure I don't pass on to my twins, right? But with each one, it just kind of sucks for much because she was the first one. So, you know, you screw up the first one, you get better with the second one, the third
Second
one.
one,
Just saying,
yeah.
That's
right?
a true statement.
So I try not to, and my mom was a beater, right? You would think that I'd be a, you know, spank or two here. In America, they say spanking. My mom's a beater, right? But, you know, you'd think that, you know, I'd probably be a beater too, but I really am not, right? But I am a yeller. That's one thing I definitely take from her, and I have not set it away. And one thing I would definitely say I put on top of it too is I do curse for emphasis too, right? And I started that when Munchkin was 9 because she started doing stupid stuff. I said, you want to do adult things? We gonna have adult conversations. I'm not saying it's the right way, all you mom shamers out there, but I'm just saying, okay. It's hard. I don't try to make it seem like any of this shit's easy. It's all hard. Being a mom with stage 4 breast cancer, being a wife with stage 4 breast cancer, you know, being an employee with stage 4 breast cancer. Like the fact that I'm on leave right now, but all I'm thinking about is, okay, how am I going back to work? Like, and when I go back to work, am I committing career suicide? Should I be finding something in between? Like, I don't know any of that stuff. And then when I find something in between, I got to tell you, I need a 4-day work week because I have chemo every week. Like, there's a lot of shit that goes on in your mind that you got to be thinking about that people don't give you the grace for sometimes, right? Because I should be thinking about freaking life preservation at the moment. But now but life preservation comes with a husband, kids, and blah. And I refuse. I told my husband, I was like, look, it sounds good in theory to be a housewife, but I ain't never see that for myself in the stars. So I ain't gonna try to put that burden on you. We're a 2-income household. I'm not trying to make it a 1 income on purpose. You know what I mean? So I digress. Anyway.
Right. What makes your story important? Because it could have, you know, another mom who have a child or a sister or the person who going through stage 4 cancer would be able to read it and, you know that they're not alone. One, you know, maybe you might have shared some techniques or shared something that helped you that they haven't tried yet, you know, so that's why your story would be important and people would want to hear it, you know.
Wait on, you convinced me.
Yeah.
I definitely want to start committing at least, you know, once a week if I can. I mean, but it's hard. And then you know what I did? The first thing I did, I was like, how long does this shit got to be?
You know, a good thing that you could do or try, because like you said, you get to the typewriter and you just start thinking these things.
Pang, you just old talking about typewriter.
Or you get to the computer. Maybe you could just record yourself and time capsule it, you know,
okay.
and have somebody in place even, you know, to put it in words for you.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so that might make it a little easy and maybe even speeding up your process of, you know, getting it out there.
Getting it out.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny you asked about the book too, because my husband I said to him the other day, I was like, look, you know, by the time I'm 40, because I just made 39, two Fridays ago, I think. So I was like, okay, before May 27th. So I was like, let me go ahead and see if I can get out before my 40th birthday or at my 40th birthday. So we'll see. But that's a good idea. I mean, I just feel like because there's gonna be some melende too, you know what I mean? So right, things that, you know, I don't share too publicly, but you know, there is I think there is a level of transparency that I do want to bring so that folks, because you know, I think this world has done a really good job of making us feel like we have to be like everybody else. And I am far from everybody else. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
So I want to make sure that when I tell my story, I tell it authentically and I don't strategically leave out anything, right? I want to make sure I give you everything so that you understand the complexities that is life. Not
Right.
that's Julie's life, that's just life. Like you might listen, at the peak of my career, I mean, started making six figures, was like, bam, I got my title back. Bam. Wait, what? Not me. I'm a good person. I remember thinking that when Dr. Sophus came in and gave me the news, I was like, wait, cancer. First of all, he said carcinoma. I was
What
like,
is
what's carcinoma?
right? I ain't never
Right?
heard that before.
Carcinoma is the official word or the medical term for cancer. So I was like, carcinoma? He's like, yeah. And I just remember him saying, young, you're young. I just remember him saying, you're young. And we don't know what stage yet. And I remember my first question, like amongst my first 5 questions, was, can I breastfeed? Because remember, I just had lost these babies 6 months before. So I was like, look, at some point, we're gonna have babies again, right? Like I was determined for that too. And if it wasn't for COVID, these babies wouldn't be here because I would have never been on a break. Because I was on a break from chemo when COVID was here because I was going to a hospital. And where do sick people go? To the hospital. So I was like, I need me a break. I don't want to listen. Cancer's taking a sweet old time to kill me. COVID's taking about 14 days. I don't know. I'm gonna take my chances with cancer. I'm just saying, I'm gonna take my chances with cancer, right? So in that time, you know, again, my husband and I are adults and we are attracted to each other. So it is what it is. And we're doing what we need to do to make sure that we prevent what we need to prevent. However, and considering they had already told me too, with chemo, your reproduction is shot anyway. Like, okay, we good. So when that pregnancy test said it was pregnant, I was like, this is a joke. It's about to be a blighted ovum again. We good. And sure enough, y'all, 2 babies. Not 1, 2.
Not 2.
2. So, and they're here. They're amazing. They're sleeping right now because we have them on a tight schedule because they're like little Nazis. So at 7 o'clock they go to bed. But yeah, I mean, I count my blessings, y'all. That's all I can say. So I really do count my blessings.
That's what's up.
What's you know, you mentioned about, you know, writing your books and reading. Is there any other activities you do when you have time to just relax and have time for yourself?
So recently I started playing online blackjack.
I thought to say you don't gamble.
Listen, that's why I said I don't. It's funny because that's what my husband told me. He's like, Julie, you have an addictive personality. I was like, no, I don't. But but because I want to get better at blackjack, right? Because I think blackjack is actually intriguing for me. It's a competitive thing, right? So, and as a coach, I consider myself to be a coach, life coach, financial coach. I would say, but I'm a realist too, right? I get it. This is coaching for realistic living. Don't be going to the casino with money that you need to pay your bills, right? Don't do that. So what I do is I take exactly what I'm going to take. I make sure it's in cash. When I chip my chips in, because this is a low math 4 time. When I chip my chips in, if those chips are done, they're done. If I win more, I win more. And I give myself a time limit. My time limit is always 2 hours. 2 hours. So I play for 2 hours until the money's done or until the 2 hours
The 2 hours up?
Yeah, until the 2 hours is up. Needless to say, yesterday I lost. But the times before that, I actually profited. You know, I doubled my money. So that was good. But I'm intrigued by the game. You know, I mean, there's a simple fact, like it's a game of chance. And then during that time too, I'm really not thinking about anything else but beating the damn dealer. So it's another competitive thing that I can do that doesn't require me to sweat. But yeah, no, I'm not listen, I'm not condoning gambling, y'all. If you have a gambling problem, you should stop. Call the number. But I only do it when my mom is here because she likes to go to the slots. So the only reason I be at the casino is when she wants to go to the slots. So,
but if you could control it, you know, it ain't nothing wrong with getting away, and you could afford it and control it, then you go.
Right. Then you get to go.
Yeah.
Other than that, no. Like, I mean, really and truly, like, I binge watch TV from time to time. I do a lot of audiobook listening. I actually fell off because a lot, again, you remember I told you, I could always tell when I'm depressed because the things that normally give me joy, for example, kids haven't been giving me joy for the last 7-6 weeks, especially my big ones, the ones that understand what I'm saying and they're not listening to me. And when I say not giving me joy with you mom shamers again out there, I mean, like my fuse is a little shorter with them, so I don't have a lot of patience. And then also to just being able the smoothies. I'm not doing the smoothies. I haven't listened really to an audiobook in about a week. So the book I'm reading right now is Untangled, and it really is about the growth of my daughter because she's at a an interesting stage. She's not quite preteen. She's not quite preteen, but she's not really teen either. She's going into middle school, and middle school here is 6th grade. So I'm just trying to be able to connect with her a little bit more. So I started reading Untangled. It has been a week since I listened to that book in a minute, but I still got about 4 hours left on that one. But other than that, I mean, I really like my downtime because I'm always on high and I'm always moving. I really would prefer doing nothing.
Well, you
Doing nothing, not cleaning a house, not changing no diapers, just doing nothing. I'm simple that way. I'm really simple that way.
well, it makes you all more impressive when you do something. When you do, are getting up and doing something. It's very motivating and inspiring.
Right. I appreciate you saying that. Oh yeah, what else we got? Okay, let me see here. Thanks for educating me more because my assistant is on the sick.
Yeah. Well, I just really got caught up into you and you sharing your story. So I honestly, all my other questions gone out the door. I think this is so moving and touching and I just love your like what you're spouring out. You're not, like you said, you don't want people to feel sorry for you. You're happy where you're at. You taking it head on and pushing forward. And I just love that about you. I said earlier that I'm gonna save my comments to the end. I just think like in your everyday life, like we as people, one of the two things that you mentioned that reminded me of something. Well, one thing you reminded me of something. A lot of those places we went to on the national team, it really humbled me and it made me stop complaining about a lot of things.
Guatemala, that did it.
I never been to Guatemala. When we've been to Mexico and Cuba was one of the two places, some of the places that we've been that did it for me. Even in China too. Like we complain about a lot of things in our everyday life and like making some of those trips, I cut out a lot of complaining and start being more of a positive thinker and things may not always work out for me or whatever, but it never gets me down. You know what I'm saying? And that it helps to just start thinking positive and it helps you get through the day a lot of times and listening to your story today, it's even more inspiring to do that because you embody the word push through, and I just find your story just real impressive. And I have seen some of your conversations on Facebook and, when I have time to look at them but today was more like I've watched you play basketball. I've watched you hang out with your teammates and interact with your coach and like just listen to you today reminded me of all of that and it just put a smile in my mind and put a smile in my face and I'm glad to know you, you know what I'm saying, and I really love that you're still here with us and pushing through, and I know you're gonna be here a lot longer with us because that I think that's how your journey is supposed to go.
I appreciate you saying that. Oh, that almost I'll tell you this though. I think you said something that's really, really important. And I think that I hope that everybody gets that, right? Perspective is really important, man. And perspective sometimes gives you context. So I sit here where I'm at, but there is an athlete that I know that I went to school with, and she has ALS. And I can only imagine, and she's pushing through, right? And I would say she's a real MVP. You know what I mean? Because right now I'm not watching for say my body, give out on me. It's not quitting on me. It's not confining me to a chair. It's not doing any of those things. So that's perspective too. So when I see that individual, I don't want to call anybody out or anything like that, but when I see that individual, I'm like, that's perspective for me. You know what I mean? My brother dying of diabetes. Diabetes, you can do some things about diabetes. You can't do shit about cancer, but you can do some shit about diabetes. You change the way you eat, right? You get some shit to change.
Lifestyle.
That gives me perspective. You know what I mean? So I can't sit here and be like, woe is me. I think 2 or 3 months into my diagnosis, I remember feeling down. I still have my down days. Guys, I've been doing this for 4 years now, and I still have down days, right? And sometimes they come more frequent than not. But what I gotta say is I gotta get out of bed. But I remember getting the call that one of my old schoolmates from Mason had got killed by a drunk driver, left behind 2 kids, a wife, and was younger than me. Because at first I was like, oh my God, I can't believe 34, 35 years old. I have stage 4. Like, what is this? I didn't drink. I don't smoke, right? I don't drink. I don't smoke. I waited to get married. I did everything the way I was supposed to. You know what I mean? Here I am. And then the person who's smoking every day, probably ain't taking care of their body, they're going to live longer than me. I get a little bitter sometimes. I really do. Right? But perspective is everything. And then Kobe, I was like, look, Julie, you better stop that shit. You better stop fucking complaining. Because Kobe's probably in the prime of his life, tip-top shape, and he's probably taken that helicopter so many times. And today he's not here. Rest in peace, Kobe. I'm just saying.
Kobe.
You know what I'm saying? Like for real. Listen, I remember crying, and I didn't even like Kobe like that. Listen, and when I say I didn't like him like that, like I didn't like him like that as a player. So it wasn't like he's a player that I saw all the time, and I was like, yeah, ooh, yeah. But when that happened, oh my God. And then I recognized that all the things on the back scene again. Perspective is context, right? And context is perspective. These two go hand in hand. I was like, who am I to sit here moping? I still get to be here with my kids. I ain't leaving nobody behind. So if every day is not worth a smile, even if you gotta fake it till you make it, girl. Because listen, girl, boys, if you just ain't feeling right and you just do like this, it's something that works. I'm telling you, it's something that works, even when you don't want to.
It's true.
Listen, I'm telling you guys, if you get nothing from me today, is that life is worth living. Yes, it's gonna be tough. That shit, you gonna have some ups and downs. You gonna feel like you at rock bottom. But there's gonna always be a way. There's always gonna be a way.
It's true.
They always will.
Julie, I got some rapid questions here for you. You open to answer anyone that you want. These questions is kind of like, it's the little things, but sometimes the little things is the most important things in life, and I just like to ask the guests these type of question. 5 dinner guests, dead or alive?
Oprah, Obama, Michelle. I say Obama, but Barack, Michelle. I probably put Gandhi on there too. And Aaliyah Boston. I put all 5 just to see what the conversation would be.
Okay. 5 words that describe you as a person.
Loud, consistent, drill sergeant. That's 2 words, but what would that? Militant, I guess would be the other one. I think I'm funny. My husband will disagree, but I think I'm funny and transparent.
I could see all of that in this interview.
Favorite place you have visited?
My favorite place. I would say my favorite place was actually Jamaica. And that's probably because it was probably the first place I'd gone internationally that wasn't business. I had fun in Jamaica. Jamaica was nice.
Was that for basketball, like your national team?
No, so we went for the national team too, but I actually went for my girlfriends, my good girlfriends, the twins' godmother, their wedding. back in 2019. No, 2018. Damn, they've been married that long already? Shit. Yeah. It might have been the 18th or the 19th. Maybe 2019, I think.
3 places you would love to visit.
Ooh, Hawaii. I actually want to go to Africa. Like, I think there's something to be said about being from the Virgin Islands and then also being the majority and not going somewhere else where there's a majority population. So I want to do Africa too. And then I would like, so what comes to mind is like an Asian country. So some Asian country, if that makes sense. So I don't care what Asian country. Like I just have never been like just to be in an Asian country, right? And I mean like a true Asian country where like the eyes are like slanted, if that makes sense. And hopefully I didn't offend anybody. Hopefully I'm being politically correct when I say slanted. But yeah, so Hawaii was the other one I just had a brain fart again.
Hawaii, Africa.
Someplace in Africa.
Africa, right? And then Asian country.
Asian country.
Yeah.
An actress or an actor to play your life story in a movie?
Oh, I don't know. My kids. What's up? What's up? Oh, you're coming. 1 second. Is that
no worries. Yeah.
Say hi to the people.
Hi.
Is your brother asleep too? Come on, hurry up. I don't know. I don't know about that one. That's a tough one. Who would you recommend? Who? Wait.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's so funny you say that because somebody said I look like her.
Yeah, you do.
That's crazy.
I was thinking the same thing, Pang.
I wonder if she would go bald.
Happily ever after.
Oh yes,
Happily
never
ever after. Yeah.
But she wasn't bald though. She had like a little fade.
Yeah, she had a little fade.
Fade. But it worked. Yeah, you're right. That's right. That's a good one. Yes, to her.
Your favorite music?
Oh my God. So I wouldn't say, y'all know I love soca and calypso. Like that's our thing, right? Sorry. That's my favorite. And then if the next in line would be dancehall, and then after that, I would say like alternative pop. I mean, I think I know that's weird coming from the Virgin Islands, but I listen to all sorts of music too. But I love Afro beats. So but I kind of, that's still soca calypso thing. Come on, ballhead. He didn't take a shower. Come here. Come here.
He's smiling.
Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Hey, hello.
This is Christian.
What's up, Christian?
Hey, Christian.
And CJ has alopecia.
Oh,
those crazy people that go, so did you cut his hair on? Stop, just stop asking. I be telling him, just stop. What's up? You going back? Good night. You didn't take a shower though. So that means you gotta take a shower in the morning. That's what I do. He says, nice meeting you too.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, man. Nice meeting you, Christian, man.
All right, bye guys. Good night. Close the door, Munch. Close the door, CJ. Thank you.
Favorite musical artist?
Ooh. So our city has this song. It's called "Save My Soul." I don't know if you guys have heard it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
if
you haven't heard it, you should listen to it. It's called "Save My Soul" by our city. And our city is from St. Thomas.
All right.
I would say they are on my top. I mean, I love Pressure too. Pressure is my what's up. I'm trying to remember the song by Nyora. I'm sorry, Nyora. And I'm pulling out all the VI artists because I don't think they recognize I listen to their music all the time. But I do.
Definitely.
I definitely listen to their music. I think we have a particular sound. Even Rafi's music. Rafi, his mom was my Spanish teacher. But we have a specific sound. Something about our music, man. At the moment, I'm also so non-VI. I have this. I just started listening to this young lady. Her name is Erica Mason. You should listen to her too. She's actually pretty good. There's this song called "Unappreciated." I said this in my interview with the Lead podcast, but I was like, literally listen to that song, and I was like, boohoo grind. Like, that is my song. That's my theme song, girl. I don't feel unappreciated, damn it. So yeah. And she has another one too. It's called Better. And she just talks about not getting bitter. I get better. I can't remember. So I posted something on Instagram about just a journey, and it went viral on TikTok. Didn't go viral on Instagram. Algorithm TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, guys. Eduential. And then the song, like she has, it's called King's Affirmation. It's a really good one too. But I like, to be honest, I go home all the time. Like home is my go-to when I'm feeling like I need to pick me up. I listen to RCD's music. No matter if it's fet, it doesn't matter if it's depending on the song, depending on the mood. But Save My Soul is definitely a go-to for me. And I don't know if that's because I'm in this place in my life where I'm always on some, mortality crap. But it's a good one, man. It really is a good one.
Now that you talk about, I think I do know that song.
Yes, you know that song.
I do know that song.
You know that song. Listen, you want me? I'm just saying I can give you a little taste right here. It's a really beautiful song. Like if you listen to the words that Tehran and Tim are giving us, like it's Save My Soul. It's my stuff. It's definitely it's a really, really good song. And it's funny because they're not really known for it. Let me see if I can get you a little bit here. Why can't I find the camera?
Like I could kill a man. I'm feeling like I don't give a damn. But I mean, could you blame me? Oh, maybe I'm just going crazy. I feel like I've seen
everything.
Still don't believe in
anything.
It's like my mind
won't
let me. Oh, right now I feel so
empty.
So you can
have my heart, but I won't believe in that now. I know that. Take my body, just break it down now. Okay, stop. It's me sing session, I know. And I ain't got a voice anyway. But yeah,
starting a little mini concert, yeah, man.
I'm just saying.
I love it.
Listen,
I love it.
I bring it all.
These is precious moments. This is dope.
If y'all ain't hear that song, if y'all are RCD fans, if you don't know that song, you need to go listen to that.
No, I'm gonna go listen to it.
That song is a beautiful song. You hear what I'm saying? I'm surprised it didn't make it. I'm surprised it wasn't any higher anywhere else. You know what I mean? It hadn't, but it's a beautiful song. The lyrics are right on point. So ever when I feel like down, I'll be like, save my soul. I ain't gonna be singing for nobody anytime soon. Yeah. But it's a beautiful song.
So next, I always, when myself, Pangatia, we have guests on, we always ask, like to ask them about their family and stuff, just because their family is always part of their journey. They always see the ups and the downs, the most, when you guys go through adversity and stuff.
Yeah.
Can you describe your mom, with 5 words to describe your mom, or if you want to say anything about your mom, etc.
My mommy, oh my gosh. My mommy, listen, my mom is the strongest woman I know. You know what I mean? Like, I look at her sometimes and I don't understand how she was able to do it by herself. I mean, and she had I think my mom has done a really good job too of making sure she has a good support system as well. But I just, like, when I put things in perspective, like, she makes a fraction of what I made, but she made it work. You know what I mean? Yeah. She was able to raise 2 children, 2 different dads, you know what I mean? Like, by herself, didn't have a high school degree, or diploma, right? Like, lost her mom when she was like 14. Like, you know what I mean? Wow. Stuff like that. Like, it's so hard. Like, kind of essentially like passed around from family member to family member, because her dad wasn't really like doing what he was supposed to do. I love you, Grandpa, if you've seen this. I love you really much. But it's just the life that she's lived. Her mom was a beater, okay? But I would say my mom is strong. She's independent. She's very stubborn. Stubborn is a good word. Her friends say to know her is to love her, and that's the truth. Like, to know her is to love her. So I don't know if that's really a phrase, but whatever word describes that, that's my mom. And then also too, she's funny. It's funny, like, when I was growing up, I didn't think she was funny. But now, in my grown up years, She's funny. Listen, my mom, it be your own family. My mom, yeah, like I walked in and I was like, ooh, does that look good? Because that's when I got dressed up for my birthday. I was like, Mom, do I look good when y'all saw me went live? Right? I was like, you think I look good? She's like, yes. She said, oh, because of you. She said, who else? Like, damn. So I didn't do none of this myself, right? Because you gave me these jeans. But she's funny. But I love my mom to death. Who else you want to know about?
And then I was gonna ask about, your brother just passed away once again. Rest in peace. And he left behind 2 kids. You said right earlier, 2 kids. Yeah. So kind of touch on your brother a little bit. Kind of describe how he was as a person. Growing up as a kid and more as an adult, and your relationship with your brother.
So if I'm being completely honest, my brother and I didn't have like the closest relationship. And I didn't believe, or I didn't realize how much I loved him until he was gone. And that's why I think, it hurts even more, right? Because it's like you take for granted the things that are in front of you. My brother was the sweetest. You hear me when I say the sweetest person? I have never met a person who was like, oh my God, your brother is like such an asshole, or your brother is, he's such an idiot, or whatever it is. Like I've never met anybody who had something bad to say about my brother. And I think that says a lot about who he was as a person. And full transparency, my brother was a little bit slow, right? So he wasn't the sharpest cookie in the box. So just like you and I are talking here, that we could throw a lot of things at each other and sort of like digest it and kind of maneuver through it. He had some moments where he probably wouldn't, he'd probably be lost in some of this conversation a little bit, but it wasn't so severe. It was like, oh, something wrong with him. Like you really had to like be paying attention to pick up on the fact that he was a little slow. And I think that's why, diabetes kind of took over his life, like, because he didn't understand like sort of that correlation. But he was sweet. He was huge. He was tall. When I say huge, so he was really tall. He was like 6'5". He was really gentle, right? And soft-spoken. He didn't really ever get too loud. And like he was just lovable, man. Like he was just a lovable guy. And I hate to say that sort of like as we, as he transitioned into the adulthood and the people that were around him didn't recognize that about him. So it just kind of like went by the wayside, and ultimately like he died by himself. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know. It's hard. Sometimes it's really hard. I get angry, but I'm gonna try to make sure that we don't start throwing people under the bus, because it's not about that. But he's a sweetheart. He was a sweetheart, man. Like the gentlest soul that you ever met. Like when you hear somebody that done, you know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure there's some people met me and they be like, look, she a bitch. That's what it is, right? I mean, as positive as I am, and my husband says it, he says it best. He's like, people hide their bitches in different ways, and I do too. Like I am all about what I am right now, and this is completely me. But if you cross my family, you do a whole different side. Right? Doctors quickly found out when I was, on the bed, and they diverted me from Walter Reed, and I had to go to Inova Fairfax, and they kept talking about a C-section. I was like, under no circumstances are we gonna have these babies in a C-section, okay? When you're done, you get back to being OBGYN of the day. When I got done, I gotta go back to being a cancer student, okay? So with that being said, we are not gonna these babies a C-section unless it's medically necessary. Okay? I asked that's Walter Reed talking about the babies, but I'm telling you, like I'm pretty sure somebody will meet me or say, be like, give me a vibe. Right?
Well, can I say something to that? Like people that take that as you being like our culture, they look at that as you being a B.
Right.
But that's really how the Caucasian women and people that's how they get stuff done, by being persistent. We're gonna use a different word, persistent.
And that's exactly what I am.
I'm not giving in just because he's the doctor. You're gonna tell me what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And if you really think about it, a doctor can't do nothing without your consent. Like people could be on the dying bed and he can't do nothing until your husband says something or So just don't go into these rooms and let them tell you anything. You know what I'm saying?
New lesson that everybody needs to get from this interview. You got to be your biggest advocate. So I'm in the situation I'm in because a dumb doctor, and I'll say dumb doctor, I can't call any names because there was a suit and I won. But I told the doctor, that I had a lump under my armpit. Like when I put my arm up, there was this lump. Oh, you can see a little remnants of it, right? But
Yeah.
this thing was much bigger, right? It was much bigger. It looked like the size of a gold ball. And literally, when I put my arm up, you'd be like, whoa, right? And he was like, it's just mastitis, or whatever it is when you have like clogged milk ducts, right?
Mm.
And I said, I mean, CJ was 6 days old, and I had just came off of miscarriage, so I had a blighted ovum, right? So it was a miscarriage. Then I had my son 6 days later or 8 days later, and he tells me what's under my arm is just clogged milk ducts. I was like, okay, we good. Fast forward, I have a set of twins. He doesn't tell me I'm high risk. I lose those set of twins, and then 6 months after that,
You find out.
stage 4. It's not stage 0, and I want you guys to understand, cancer happens in stages. You got 0 to 4. I don't get a count at stage any of those in betweens. And from 0 to 3 is curable for breast cancer. 4 is not.
So if he had looked deeper into that lump,
All he had to say was, let's be sure. Let's get an ultrasound.
Yeah.
Let's do something. He said nothing. He said, I'm gonna give you some antibiotics because I'm God. And me, like the naive new mom that I was like, oh shit, well, I got this new baby. He's perfect. We good. Because I remember before I left, I said, are you sure? My husband was there with me. And then I was like, wait. And then when all of it happened, I had reached out to the office because I was up for my annual. And I had said, no, I have bigger things to worry about because I just got diagnosed with cancer. You would think that person would have reached out and said, hey, my bad.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
listen, all my other doctors reached out when they found out. Even my dentist, who ain't even no place close to the rest of that body. And this particular individual didn't. So I was like, oh, well, I guess you did something wrong. So then I found a lawyer. Paid that sucker 20% of the settlement, which is a big chunk, y'all. If you can negotiate, it might have been 40%. I think it was 40%. But if you can find somebody a little less than 40%, do that. But, needless to say, like, I had to sue, and I won. And I was just like, and it was a battle, too. That in of itself was a battle. You know what I mean? But you got to be your biggest advocate.
right?
Don't just let people tell you what you should be doing. You got to do your own research. And it kind of sucks for my oncologist, right? Because after going through that, I'm like, so why are we doing that? Why can't we do this? And right? And him and I have a lot of banter back and forth, but we've been on this journey a long time. He knows who I am as a patient. But I'm that patient that tells you everything. As transparent as I am with you guys, you can only imagine what I tell my doctors.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just saying. But you have no excuse. But be honest with your doctors, man. Tell them anything. You might not think your toe is related to your eye, but your eye might be related to your toe. So if there's something, you gotta tell somebody and say it and keep saying it until somebody listens.
Right.
It's important. Very important.
Sure.
So we're gonna take that back. That you're a B. You're not a B. You're persistent.
Yeah, persistent.
You're your
And I'm
best.
confident too, right? I mean, I think that's another thing too. Sometimes I think women have a hard time understanding that. Like, how can this person be so confident with what she has? Because I don't, like a lot of women, they get made up and they get done up and they're like, oh, I'm the baddest thing ever. But I'm like, I don't need any of that. And I still think I'm the baddest thing ever. You know what I mean? So even with my swollen arm here, that's all lymphedema. I don't know if that's a word. I try to make an adjective right there.
Sound like a word. Sound like a word to me.
Make a word. But yeah.
Well, go ahead, Mom, if you have a question.
No. I was just gonna say, it's like, in life is like, I think people gotta realize in life is like everybody have a life to live, and it's like you just gotta live your life. I think too much people is so focused on how somebody else should live their life.
Hello.
And I think that's what it is.
And what they say? You know what they say in the VI? What I eat don't make you shit.
Right.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, that's just fact. So do you, and be authentically you. Like, I have girlfriends who wear makeup. I have girlfriends who don't wear makeup. But every girlfriend in my circle is similar. They're similar to me. And when I say similar to me, in that they're confident with who they are. So don't worry. Like, my light never dims never dims their light. They just is bright. You know what I mean? So I think that's really important. That when you find people around you, they don't feel like you're dimming their light, and vice versa. Be yourself. Be authentically you.
Yeah, well said. Everybody should like focus on the life and enjoy what somebody else is doing, uplift them, you know what I'm saying? Be
Fact.
happy and proud for them. And at
Amen.
the same time, you do you, you know what I'm saying? And be
Yeah.
happy of the things that you do and be proud
Right.
of yourself and you
Right.
know, so yeah. Do you have anything that you wanted to share that you didn't get a chance to touch on or
You mean after all that 2 hours of me talking, I ain't
hey,
share
this
everything
is
that I need
this
to?
this is
I
your
will. I
show.
will say though, and I said this in the Elite podcast too. I'd said like, your network, right? Your network is your net worth, right? So if you want to be doing better in life, the people around you that you surrounding yourself with have to be doing better in life. They have to be doing remotely what you want to do, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can't think that you're going to be with the corner boys. Hey, no, listen, no shame for the corner boys, right? I'm just telling you, just putting this in context. DM me if you need if you need to. But if you want to be a particular place in life, you're gonna have to find those people doing just that, and then surround yourself with those people. Doesn't mean that you can't still have your friends that you grew up with, but you got to make sure that you're building your network, because the bigger that network, the bigger the possibilities, the bigger the opportunities. And sometimes opportunity does really look like work. Like this might be for me. Like I think cancer is an opportunity, but that shit's work, right? It's an
Mhm.
opportunity for me to share and inspire, because I've seen many of your comments, guys. Thank you so much for your inspiration as well, right? About being inspired. I didn't think that was going to be the case, but maybe that is the silver lining.
You know, we did myself, Pan, Tegan, we created this podcast, for people to tell their story from the VI and, keep their name, keep their story going. So, kids coming up, family, they always look back on the video, they always could see the person face, they could hear the person voice,
That's
and they
awesome.
could hear their story. That's what we
Thank you.
created, and your story and your situation, what you're going through is pretty much what represents, our podcast of what we was thinking about when we created it. You know,
Awesome.
it's we live in the now, and and a lot of people don't realize like how precious these moments are, you know, and that I would just appreciate you, taking the time to come on. My mother passed away last year, October the 22nd, 2001. When her battle with lupus,
Okay.
and you telling your story with your battle with cancer, stage 4 breast cancer, and I had to deal with it more older, for since I was like 16, yeah, 16, 17 years old. And I was able to understand why I was able to like see the transition of a body and, stuff not working and stuff
Right.
moving a different angle and just stuff like that. And your heart goes out to people because it's like they was accustomed to seeing the body one way, living one way, feeling one way, and now it's like a transition and there's a lot of pain and nobody can feel your pain. They might see it, but they can't feel it.
That's right.
But you still got to keep living. You still got to be strong for the people that needs you. Like how she had to be strong for
Right.
myself,
For
my
you
sister,
guys.
my brother. You have to do it for your husband and your kids. And like some people could relate to it and some people just can't. And like I could relate to it, because I witnessed it from a
Beautiful.
kid standpoint,
Right.
and you touched on something that was very important that you think about your kids because you want to be there for your kids and you want to make sure that your kids be able to grow up with you to a certain extent where at least they could be able to understand whenever that time comes,
Yeah.
you know and it was kind of the same thing for me with my mom, what she was going through. That was like is the same thing. So it's like a kind of like a spiritual connection between a mom and a child in both ways of
Yeah.
how the situation going. So but you was the first person that we have had on that really went in depth with a situation as serious as breast cancer.
Okay.
So I just want to let you know I appreciate you. We appreciate you coming on and sharing your story, being transparent, being real, being open, and a lot of things that I've learned from my mother passing. You touched on, even Pang have touched on. Perspective is one of the main things, and it's so
Yeah.
important. Just being able to like live your life and realizing like life is not that serious. A lot of materialistic things and stuff that you take serious is not really that important when you see like something serious like that is staring you in the face. So, you really, really touch on a lot of points, and Pang brought up a lot of points as well too, and asked great questions. And I think that your story is definitely gonna, benefit a lot of people who probably don't have the strength and the courage that you have, and I think your family and everybody's definitely gonna be proud of you, and I
Thank
just
you.
want to let you know, like, I'm proud of you. So
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know. Thank you, Grace. Really, like, I didn't know what was to come out of this interview. I was like, what are we gonna talk about? They don't know. I hope they know I don't really be watching basketball like that no more. But I'm happy to share. Again, I am happy to share my story. I am happy to answer questions as I know them. I always caveat by saying that I am not a financial advisor. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a tax accountant, right? Because I do tap on a lot of things, but I'm happy. I'm honored to have been on this platform today. So thank you guys so much for having me. Exactly what you built it for is exactly what I'm appreciating. I'm actually gonna, whatever link you guys sent out after this, I'm gonna post it to my LinkedIn. So if my kids ever wanna find me, see it, Facebook, they'll be able
YouTube,
to
it's on
see
YouTube as well too.
and YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that you guys had me on here. It was definitely an honor. And look at Pang. Pang, look at you aging backwards. If it wasn't for the gray in your beard, same.
And
It's true. It's just the grade. That's it.
Right.
this is all day. This is all day. This is more gray in there than you could know.
He's so funny. Oh
I
my
know.
goodness.
But we
Yeah.
we appreciate you, especially you say you woke up out of your sleep for
Yeah, I took a nap.
so we definitely glad you were able to make it and strong enough to make it, and definitely you make us feel stronger. And definitely know you are superior to us.
Oh
That
no.
any difficult journeys that we had playing ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, I digress from ever thinking that I had struggled. You know what I'm saying? So we
I appreciate
definitely
you so much.
glad
I
that
want
you're here
when you
tonight.
when you I want to say this too. Before we leave, 5 words to describe your husband as a person. And the reason why I'm asking this is because when I was texting you, I kind of confused your name. You was very adamant and very proud to represent the name Carter. So
So
I
I'm so
don't want
glad
to
you
leave
said
him out. I apologize. We almost forgot. So I
it.
definitely want you to.
So my husband, he is funny. So to describe him, he's funny, he's tall, he's a sweetheart. He really is the heart of our family. So if I'm the militant, he's the heart, right? Our kids go to him to get all the yeses. They come to me, they might get some no's. What's my other 2 words? I said he is tall, he's funny, he is the heart, right? So I guess that would be nurturing. So he's nurturing.
Mhm.
He is smart and he's athletic. So those are my 5. Yeah.
I did have a question about him because you did say he played basketball, right?
Yeah.
Where he played at?
So he actually is military. He's active duty Navy. He's a sailor, and he played all Marine and the all Navy team.
Oh, that's
So
what's
he's
up.
right.
Okay,
So he's played
nice.
with the military on that level.
Well,
And right
also,
now he's actually coaching at Paul VI. He's on the JV squad. So and Paul VI is one of these big schools here in Virginia. So some private school in Chantilly. So he's super excited about that opportunity this season. They just had a game. Oh, they got spanked today though. But yesterday yesterday they played. I went to see their first game for the summer league, and they won by 32 points. It was a blowout.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was a blowout. But then today they got their butts kicked from I think St. John by like 40 points or something like that, or 30
wow.
points. It was the score was something like 72 to 40 something. So and you guys got to understand the level of play for a high school game with a running clock, 72 points. And Paul VI is really good too. So yeah, that's what he's doing on the side from time to time, and he's hoping to be able to transition in that full time because he has had 20 years in October for him in the military, and he's retiring
Wow.
this year.
Yeah,
We
congrats
thank
on
him
that.
for his service. His
Yes,
services.
definitely thank
And
him.
if he was here, he'd say, "Thank you for your support."
Yeah. Hey, Pang, I was looking for ballers to play with, so
Oh no, seriously, he'll hoop. He can hoop. He's
Yeah.
not like I would say he's more like a Kyrie Irving. So he's not gonna give you a
Okay.
whole bunch of trash talking. He just looks the part. He'll get out there and just
Give you
probably
the
smoke your
business.
ass from time to time. And
Yeah.
quick turn on. Yeah.
That's dope. That's nice. That's nice.
Well, thank you for coming out and having some fun with us. You
For
know, that's
sure.
we tried to make it as relaxing as possible. You
This
know,
was really relaxing because at first I was like, Momba was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like 100 minutes to something." I was like, 100 minutes. Well, we gotta talk about for 100 minutes.
That's the goal.
We are at 2.5 hours here, so damn near 3 hours. So yes, the time does fly when you are having fun. So I appreciate you guys giving me a platform to share my story and for you guys listening and asking the questions that you did. And thank you to your viewers as well who actually embraced me with open arms. So thank you.
Thank you to the viewers. And shout out to Tegan. Wapa kind of messed up everything. So
he lost current?
Yeah. He said Wapa. So definitely, our love and
the man current gone.
That was his excuse to go and watch the game. Don't mind me.
That's Pang know he better than anybody, so we'll take Pang one.
No worries. So, but thank you guys again for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Kiss the babies good night and
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you enjoy the rest of your night.
You guys too.